take pride in satisfying every customer's financial needs.
Introducing the future of hassle-free and seamless financial transaction. The Una Wallet app, empowering you to effortlessly manage your money anytime, anywhere. With the Una Wallet app,
take pride in satisfying every customer's financial needs.
introducing the future of hassle-free and seamless financial transaction. The Una Wallet app, empowering you to effortlessly manage your money anytime, anywhere. With the Una Wallet app, you can now enjoy branchless banking, wallet-to-wallet transfer, wallet-to-cash, and bank cross-border payments, deposit at a bank, and withdraw from any Una branch. Get ready to experience the ultimate banking convenience with the Una Wallet app. With just few taps on your phone, you can effortlessly add funds, withdraw, and send money to your loved ones. The Una Wallet app also provides a detailed history of your transaction, making it easier to track your expenses. So, what are you waiting for? Download the Una Wallet app today on Play Store or App Store and say goodbye to hassle of traditional banking. Una Forex Bureau Limited, delivering much more than money.
Bismillah na programme ton kamin ke jang aramisa kamuru nan dron ka kacha na tale min bedending bankola kola komin ka kenya min dron programme ka lunta ol so jang ka kacha ke mi alon ko se banko be nafa bi akete ne ko kontan ko ti ko tenke ka chairman so to birkama area council comme nga fo nyami na intro to chairman mo fongola chairman ti we are all West Coast residents and kumbe West Coast women bela sula kolti wala na kumayata bi nyin kacha is very personal to me because it's something me alonko it has to do with my area, it has to do with my people, it has to do with my father, my grandmother badi ngol mini alonko itol fana na nyanto chairman o mi nyanto onatila woto Yankuba ngebi simila ko tenke Kerr Fatou
baraka bake f ngay kontom banke
yeah
ni la do ulal be Kerr Fatou la jibe lal fanam be dawda
yeah
ngay be tentu ngay jay ngay kontom ñing aramisa lungo tilibulola thank you very much kontan takana jamba
Kanajang. Bi ka chabe diala kom ka kenya min dro nin nata every week nka what's trending nka laf ko wol jube mune be kerim banko kam bi ka cha kono ba jube la bi mo April 10 lati be April 10 jube la briefly bi fanang be min jube la wala Sankoria trial min be United States and tol fango Kerr Fatou la report bu gaji go bije be molten to la Center for Justice and Accountability CJA wala Buba la triple sponsor ibe Denver right now as we speak ibe court the often jubela briefly we'll also look at Salaji demolition by Salaji bela aerial to call me of course the leaked memo from the office of the chief of staff mi alonko ko president wala Bama la triple ways pademo min joje akita controversy timbe kerim bo fana jube la bari accountability ko kono no wota jensi na west coast jube ale do ko min ke jani taxol ko ale taxol la fantolka lafta wo fana be kacala wol be mu kulati mi alan ko bimbe kacala bar jannu ka dum programme ko sa fo baadi ngole ko momo lafta Kerr Fatou support la ka fo wato wati niaje bin kanyin do kol keno ka chairman nati nani modolun kata dulalto bo buba nyol kino la fo America ni coverage ol keno la is because nga resourceless to and wobe keno la nyadi ni tembe jiberol number 1 e ka Kerr Fatou la page o share e ka Kerr Fatou la YouTube share e ka jube but also you can support us by sending us stars last week abin ba fo la ngaje mo jama ka fo be stars sen no la nyadi ni be page o jube ka right now stars be underneath comment section ol katradami ni click you should be able to give us stars Dalasilomban, Transulomba, if you offend direct, Abdallah Kerr Fatou directly. That way, you are empowering us. That way, you are supporting us. That way, you are making us more independent because we cannot be bought when we have resources. Ñun be mu fenneti mi alon ko technology ya create pour banku dingolu se dake no network wala do ko to ke sembentu ya ba yela ko ninga sto mena do ko lal jola min nante sila la me do ko min bena do ko kele with fairness. So ñun mu kuleti ni be jibero la and we se Kerr Fatou support no you can support us by sending us stars. Saying a dunka chakon chairman. Follow bi April 10 leti. Janning ka dung program kono be told on my behalf and my behalf of my team ka mol be konton ka mol masamini alon ko dunta through wo April 10 de banku dingol min finta non ka protest ke e student all fa bi mo April 10 leti.
be comme ya fanyami April 10 hanim be it left an indelible scar on the Gambian conscience and Gambian jama fanang na baramo be siri funding ke obije na mera over the years program jama la ka kenum baga ba nata tulal
ngar singola ka puspus ota
yes so ngalo bi mu lungola timi alon ka miro jam fande bak anum ba masa be na soro nying comments rate la kan nikuya aning suno ka futandal andonga kabiring because April 10 ituluketa mole de mialongo TRRC nyante fa sala numbare unfortunately TRRC fanang pool kalas o shiara kudu mi nyanda dala je before nyanda bola no jammela asset sulle do do nyumana TRRC molmin ta fenkata nyanta molmin compensate la ofana manna in food dolu banda.
Yeah.
You know, unfortunately, situation of bole nyama ngamena nyen ko dolu next government no one other they have to look into this properly. Ye molu compensate properly. Isaje be maril makwelal to heal properly.
Yeah.
Because molu minu tata through this traumatic experience hanim be the healing process nyeng among complete
no.
A molu minu yakele may brought to justice. B itolu minu barara kunemang any fenkos or compensation also. So imagine ni keta victimity of the April 10 may happened. Imam moja me alonko ever since me and Yinkela has been brought to justice.
Yeah.
Number 2, Itanila family have been struggling ever since. State has not taken any responsibility. Kafoko, because government will continue till it.
Yeah.
Previous government, na kuoke mimman better. The current government needs to take responsibility of it. Yeah, address. But it happened the previous government, and no, you succeeded the previous government.
Yeah.
It's the same Gambia government.
Yeah.
The people who've done it were serving the Gambia.
Gambia, yeah.
So the Gambia government need to take the responsibility. I more compensate properly. You know, but nibe with victim on the situation or miro kajam for back. Because he came here and another and then you man genanum, then nuntes finance tarano, fendo to thing, sending corda si vasono, sending
Loku sifa ken.
But ni build situation with all of that. It's very sad.
It's very sad.
I left him in as a society and as a country, manyanela, akilo bekang, and then be ala danila, tala luminata for ala sela jangoshonendila, I saw arjanala, minu bijang for ala se kesabarlat.
Yeah.
I came munyalati. Be ala danila ala se balu shonendila ase ila matmatul fanan
sonendino
inshallah
TRRC ko fo bayri TRRC commissioner kele mbenga moy minu ketaje recommendation ol keta government I think almost accepted almost 90% 98% of the recommendations of the TRRC but I'm all coming kumbobi hanisa wolom the process of justice mankumas follow even though government approvals from the ECOWAS general body bulu pour joint fenkoke tribunal ñu ñanta kela bar butung wonyanta sutola aid ñun min kotonga lo mimbe kering America and stuff like that so hanisa mo malo wolu labe dami bar ngamin je wolom Osman Sonkola trial keta in Swiss, you convict. Michael Sankoria be in guy in America, be right now at a trial be keka in Denver. As we speak, in the courtroom okono. Aliu Job testified tale, Bunja testified ta. No, Astagfirullah, Yaya Dawo testified ta. Bunja was supposed to come Baraman na ikabe deployment lela. But he koleko, it was touched out, but he could know for presumptive lumban, something like that, meaning kona nata na isa accept nole. Well, caring. The other people mean testify can be as we speak. I think Tamsir Jasi, somebody told me I box okon and other people be jail. So testimonies all kumastale. What does this trial mean for our transitional justice system?
So, if anything, I mean that the failures of the current government in its responsibility and its obligation to the victims of the 22 years Jame rule in the country. Well, main indictment against the current government.
Yeah.
So the only place only justice among Gambia is outside the Gambia.
Yeah.
Come here in Switzerland.
Yeah.
You see, Switzerland, they take the things more serious than Gambia government yata. America taking it more serious than Gambia government. So Imira minimum victim hold. Imum bad on the munamot. Many akela, Ulfanamuna bad on the munamot. Yake under the Gambian law.
Yeah.
Nga witness all exporting Gabon Yangara Ladot trial.
Okay.
Walka conviction okay. Wolanim group all miniaka or more minify alongo they've done worse than Wol. Wolbe in Bangoga no Wolbetanin now. Very sad. And then all you keep hearing from the Ministry of Justice, wala mnye de bini ulde go, data ekwas lebe magwe lang halundi, data jana lebe magwe. But what is wrong with the government system?
I think there's so much issues mean relating to Nyimfana, but torture mean for tenting torture cannot be tried in the Gambia because the book Solma accommodate, right? There are certain
but we have international treaties.
Okay.
The Rome Statute is something that which Gambia is a signatory to. ECOWAS, the African Charter on Human Rights, it's there. It's plain. It says torture. You cannot torture people.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? So persecution and all these other things are all within the...
Gambia but among funds, because this is going to be a big tribunal, they have to... They said the objective is to Gambianize it, but with international dimension so that they can be able to do some of the cases all try now, and also some expertise. So that will require a lot of funding, and Gambia government will close to follow. It has to do a lot of work.
Political. Gambia government have funding sort of, expertise sort of, they have the prosecute, they have everything that they needed. Kabiribe NIA 9 will prosecute. On solo sending them. Did they go for experts or all of them? Yeah, minuta lawyer la mini prosecution is the LS Camera. Yeah? I think Rachel Wymendi and some other senior lawyers that we have in the bar. They can try anybody in any court. The same people. Near some with everybody. And I 9 year minke for torture. There was torture in it.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it was before the Gambian judges.
Yes, Justice Judge.
And yes, so we have competent judges. Kabiri Parede Yankuba Touray Sambala for the killing that happened many, many years ago.
Yeah.
Samba before a Gambian judge.
Yes.
I judgment of Fenke, they did appeals and then it's still not able to. Minkera, ni parete prosecute lebe, prosecute lad. But system on uniform be yalum system on mimbije. Ni be lelendi mola. Eko jalo singo be foranga oboga feno. APRC is part of the government. The APRC fabakari. Many of these people will come in accuse left, right, and center. Do you think when you prosecute? It's not happening. It's not going to happen. So mimbeje, ebe mulle taken can fool every day. Yamera Gambians don't know what is happening. We know what is happening. You know, Kabir in 1981, Gambia set standards in terms of prosecution. Kabirin, so many cases, I found an example set on two. I've given you two examples.
Yeah.
A prosecution, happen within a period. You know how many people let Raja sign? Just name them. How many people let Raja? They even have a very good witness in the person of Fenge, Jalo. Mendara TRC abe for a jungle so many baby for a film. He's a star witness.
Yeah.
It's what I mean. So what more do you need? TRRC unearthed a lot of evidence. Mulnate confessed, I did this, I did that, I did this. So, ni pareta prosecution is very easy. We have competent lawyers, they can do it. The bench is full of competent judges, they can sit on it and then deal with it. Every day, more trial.
Yeah.
Assault, all kind of criminal offenses are happening. And Banendro before them. Much more. So they have vast knowledge of this. The state mampare ka prosecution. Okay. And we have to have a closure of this chapter.
Yeah, we have to have a closure.
We have to have a closure. The only way is ite balan no leme samba trial. Put them to trial. Tonya elum. Justice prevail. The president has a prerogative of mercy. Now after mercy, you give them mercy. But as a justice process has gone through. Guinea-Bissau not long ago. Yet Daddy's camera, they wanted to put a closure to Daddy's camera case. They put him to trial. The president granted him a pardon, just nying sunkar salo. People complained, but he went through the trial, he was locked up, he was sentenced. He committed that crime because he was found by a competent court of law. So, we have to put everybody through a trial. And you put him through trial, whether he comes or not is not a problem.
Yeah.
If he doesn't come to defend himself, let the evidence be presented. If he doesn't come, you make a judgment in absentia. More sentence in absentia. It will form more soronajang in absentia. So let them do that. Then, ni adiate, for the sake of reconciliation or anything, he pardoned the he comes. But by then he had gone through a process. That is what should happen. But in the history book, it's not going to happen. It's going to be in our history books, and the moment it is left on unresolved, it will remain an unresolved criminal offense. For it's a close or sort of. The family, the victims want to move on. Everybody want to move on, but we cannot move on because name of victimity. You feel like one day you have to go to court for this thing.
Yeah.
But when you are done with the court case, you said what you want to say, and you move on. They come and admit, either they plead guilty or they plead not guilty, they get found guilty, and then we move on. But that's what should happen. But a responsible government needs to take their responsibilities and their duties very seriously. You cannot beat the bush about it. Minister camera, you think that they are scared or they have no confidence in their own judiciary? You know, the very judiciary that they are taking people through every day. What is more complicated in this? That which others have not done.
Our laws. Our laws, especially...
It is in our laws. It is there.
Yeah, because Yankuba Touray has been convicted and he was part of the...
He was part of the group.
The Fenkonying,
yes.
The council members.
How can we not have tortures? We are signatory to so many international laws on torture. And we are not a Fenkotije. You know, it is in our laws. It's not like it's not in our laws. It is in our laws. It is in the international law that we are signatory with too. And those international laws, they apply in our country. We are trying to say that they've committed these offenses. So we need to be very serious about our responsibilities and as a country so that we can have a closure of this chapter and then move on. No one day, this generation pass it on to their next generation, the following generation, the next generation is not happening. And then number two, the reason why you want to go through this is to be able to achieve deterrence, can more stop from doing it again. Because at the moment, I think if anything, maybe that's what they're thinking of doing. They want to do that. So in order for them to be able to get away with it, is to make sure you don't even get set as a president. Now get a president, it only repeat, repeat, until someone will come and put a stop to it.
Absolutely.
And then try to prosecute everybody from X, Y, and Z.
Senegal is doing the same, you know, to put stop to it. Because Senegal, covering 20 Makisali amnesty natina. And then I Mobile Protect.
Yes, I was watching Ahmed Ba.
Yeah.
I mean follow Vako.
Yeah.
Senegal has international obligation.
Yeah.
They cannot forgive somebody
Mofa. Yeah.
What a torture.
What a asin laljan.
Exactly. Senegal was signatory to damning. Gambia banana signature jail. So if Senegal is saying we cannot forgive, we cannot do this, we have to prosecute.
And one thing,
how can we say we
cannot? One thing also, I mean, for that really stood up, that stood for me, Makisala government before they came, you know, covering Ablai Wada wanted to run for that time. 14 people died.
Yes.
Ako Makisala kabri sita.
70 people died.
More minufata kapratesi. My investigation to hold these other people responsible. Ya ko tuje. Wala tina kabrati finansida. Motan se ni fem fata nyinke lokono Osman Sonko kelo kono ye wolfa. Itol ko malafole malafini be bola jamimbe itol succeed la itol fane dolfa akon do mine bo stop no la ni nyinke ita famo mi yake yal ne ko nim fane mo fa yem fane investigate la an
mbejele foka.
Yeah.
If you do the prosecution it stops aka deterrence le fena.
Yeah.
Atol me mfongo yake. Akatol le follow deter from doing it, from repeating it.
Yeah.
Ajam. But ni emal le fika okay. They will beat about the bush. Nunda jana, mvindita jana, manko dole soto, ma kawol prosecute inita munko dilel. Inita munko dilel mindebul. These people are spending 1.4 million kara President Obama is called kara Senegal. Wo dama, woman loyal Joe. If you talk to LS Camaranyol, these processes, they can even do it for them for free.
Pro bono, yeah.
But they don't want to do it. The reality is this. They don't want to do it. But they, for some reason, you don't believe Taleko Gambians are not aware. Gambians don't know what is happening. Niaje ka behave nyame. Every day niage what's on Gambia busane ko fay muna ñunu fo ñunu they don't know that people really know what they are doing is wrong. But it's because they believe ko it only leniency meant on the previous government. That's the leniency the next government will take on them. But they don't know who is going to be the next government.
Who's going to be the next president?
You know, because it's dereliction of duty. You're being paid as a minister to do this job. You're receiving that salary and you're refusing to do the job.
To do the job.
And then how do you explain that in the next world?
Next world.
It's because you have to be held accountable. You're being paid to do a job and you are derelicting from that duty. You are refusing to do it. And then you're coming up with excuse upon excuse. Come on, bamboozled. Be ni tata ko ECOWAS ko wol ko nga endorse le sama tata malo mundo ko di ko nga endorse le tana ni na de ya file lande it gathered dust for some time. The ning international bodies only mamande what is happening with this the transitional justice in the Gambia. Yet ni parirala they make more money. They go to international platforms and then give a lot of speeches there. It all they took Myanmar to court.
Yeah.
And then they themselves have issues at their own place here. If you cannot do it, refer it to international courts, let them do the prosecution. But the thing is, I see no reason why this cannot be dealt with in the Gambian way. It's our Gambian problem. We have to sort it out.
Yeah.
We don't need international issues in this. We need to sort it out. Jammeh is a Gambian. Everyone else accused they are all Gambian. And then the people they have committed most of these heinous crimes to, they are Gambians, except the Ghanaian 44.
Yeah.
You know? So last time we went to Ghana, and then, you know, it came about.
Yeah.
In the deliberation, found a minister Basiri, Ghana la minister Basiri, and then Ghana la minister Kumodati. Ndol dagilo for man dying 44 killing Ghana. But the minister was alive on it. Ako, you know, Ghana in Gambia, metale, badi ya bale bentema. Ako kuja male keta. Ako bari kapiring mu Ghanaian tannan fata Gambia. It's taken Ghanaians a lot about Gambia. But it took some time for Ghanaians to understand that this is not what the Gambian people wanted.
Yeah.
It was a system that they were having, and that system was not in alignment. So Kabra Afoje, we were like, but it is haunting us everywhere. So you see, the Ghanaians too wants a closure on this chapter.
Yeah.
Everybody wants a closure.
Yeah.
We cannot just try to dilly-dally on this and then pretend that it will resolve itself. The way we used to do things. It's not happening.
It's not happening.
It has international dimensions. You see, I think if they care about Jammeh and want to help him, they will put a closure to this, and then they go to, but they get the international community out of it. Tell them this is the Gambian issue. You see what I mean? We'll deal with it in the Gambian
way.
And then we apply our Gambian law, and then we deal with it. No wonder. What will happen is, international organizational level, Gambian will prosecute, because they know that this prosecution will not happen in Gambia. Nintra, we had taken the lead. Michael Sankoria will be brought back.
Yeah.
They will extradite him back to Gambia and prosecute him. Usman Sonko, the same thing.
Yeah.
But you know what happened? Usman Sonko Jive,
yeah.
Now he's in a Swiss jail. By law, he's in German jail.
Yeah.
Families have no access.
Yeah.
And a family member Gambia cannot go and see him. He's a prisoner, yes, but he has a right to visit him.
To visit us.
It's like a famous saying by one judge in the UK, human right doesn't end at the prison gates.
Yeah.
It goes right inside the prison cells.
Yeah.
So they still have rights.
Yeah.
They have right to see their family. They have right to certain things, visitation. But if they're sitting in a Swiss jail, your whole family is in the Gambia. They cannot have a visa. They cannot go and see you.
Yeah.
The same thing would be the plight of Sankoria.
Sankoria.
The family in the Gambia will not be able to see him. And he will be there in a more or less a solitary confinement for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
That is an extra punishment. You know, punishments have to also have its own limit.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? So they deserve that one. As a prisoner, you have a right to access your family and all
those things, yeah.
You know what I mean? So all of those need to be accorded. But how do you enforce that on people like America or Switzerland or other countries? These are our citizens and they've committed their offenses in Gambia. Why do they have to be trial done in another country? That tells you, until we are failing in our responsibility.
The only good thing about the trial in abroad also is the prison conditions. If you see how good he looks, you know, he had dreadlocks, you know, I think Tema dye, he looks so good.
But reality is...
But
no, but reality is... Ndolfananta is way below the human rights standards.
Yeah.
So by the way, the prisons need reforming.
Yeah.
You see, nyantaka better prison so little because coming up there's a famous judge in UK who said human rights do not end at the prison gate. They go all the way inside the prison.
Yeah.
Prisoners have a right, and their rights also have to be properly protected and observed.
Yeah.
And then at the moment, mile 2, until we've been there 1 month, we know how mile 2 is. And
I know.
So we know how the situation is. It's very bad.
It's bad.
It's very, very bad.
Yeah.
You know, and that is not how the standard is supposed to be. They need to, by right, mile 2 nyanta demolish level. And then we have modern prison facilities. And international standard meets.
Yeah.
And then prisoners also have to have... You see, the idea of prison being a deterrent is more or less a very archaic thinking nowadays. It's very conservative. Cover prison. You know, prisons before... Moli Ajaleko is a punishment center.
Yeah, but
so you go there to punish.
Yeah.
Now prisons are where people will say rehabilitation center. So they turn them into... Kabiring humanity now realize that we become human and not like animals that we were before.
Yeah.
And then jumping on each other. Near mola mofa, either efa. No bundi nyungo hani. Near mola mofa, say, Ganefa, yes, some yes, provided you are a danger to everybody.
Yeah.
But once you change and you're no longer a danger to everybody, we put you back into society and then you start serving society and you become of a benefit to society. So, you know, when I was doing law, we had to do what we call theories of sentencing and punishment. Before doing that course, I was always thinking that
yeah.
But there, my mindset changed. And then after, I've also practiced prison law in UK. And then we go to a lot of prison thing called hearing. You know, prisoners, they have their own hearings in prison.
In prison, wow.
So sometimes near Bali Domorola, they can sue.
They can sue in the prison.
Near Bali Visitation, they also appeal.
Wow.
You know, they have go through a lot of challenges
there. Yeah.
You know? And then, so all of that. So, behavior in prison determines how long
you will stay there.
Yeah. Some of them get parole and they have parole board
because of good
probation for good behavior.
Yeah.
You know, and then we have similar system in here because Jambana, Jay have a red band. A prisoner me a red band so that he will have access to every prison ward. Jang, they have it. Mialongo, there are prisoners. Mialongo, they have access to all the wards.
Yeah.
So you cannot remand because they are known for good behavior and they're reliable. They're not the people that you will find running away.
Okay.
So they do the errands for the prison guards, for prisoners and everything. But reality prison jemange moya.
Mobile kataji.
You see what I mean? So I think Selo. So these are two places Gambia need to improve on that. Woman ke ko it's not about linear. That's a basic fundamental human right.
Yeah.
And we need to follow that. You know, it's very important.
So, the people of Kiang cannot speak English. binet ko nga foyla broda ma ngale kan FC señol be ko nga foy ko hejele Ibrahim ako tell Tiaman to speak Mandinka because his brother so ko la ko kiyan ko to nyalo kiyan ko man ngale kan yalo
na be blend na
be blend ya ñun mu loyal ti bari fo sa ngale kan fo but thank you
even certain legal terms
this for so yeah but I want to thank Abdullah Jabang Moral Nyolmanya Malang Ani Abdu S Haidara Nyolbe for sending us that. Thank you so much. We appreciate. Talking about what is trending and the Afujan Fana a memo that was leaked from the office of the chief of staff. It was sent to the Ministry of Finance requesting 3.6 million ka President Obama nyanta tala check up la in Senegal. A man country for, but apparently now mo Senegal to go for check up pour ka security details or la padie mojo. It was on what's on Gambia. The first they were the one who broke the story. So when I saw it, I personally called the Ministry Finance and spoke to the minister himself. I want to say, when I called, he was in a meeting, he called back. And we had a conversation. I think in Syndicator, for the past, I'm the most critical person to Syndicator, but we had a long conversation and we were working on programs with him and his team. So I'm happy that we had that conversation. But, they told us, yes, they confirmed that the letter was authentic. Well, look at the date on the letter. This is a fresh application, so we have not yet actioned it. So my follow-up question was, will you action on this? Will you pay for this? He was like, well, I don't have to disclose that to you, but what I can tell you is we have not yet actioned on it. But did you pay similar things like this? Because that is the most important thing. What else happened? Did you action other requests like this? The extended family request something like they have you, are there airfares? Are you doing? Because you mean for letter record, there's a list there, so we don't know what else is there. They said the president's for modest security, but you go and Secretary General orders. So the letter itself was confusing.
That's right.
The detail, and I don't expect anything coming from the office of the president to look like that, because it was not detailed. But I guess so that's what happened. But apparently after the chief of staff, people reacted. UDP issued a statement. I told Fanawo, issue Balfa. UDP issued a statement.
No, that is our job.
Okay.
We are the official opposition. We need to do that.
Yeah.
We need to hold the government accountable.
Okay. You guys issued a statement, and the chief of staff also fired back, and his response was that why would you even guys be discussing the private medical situation of a 90-year-old woman?
Why don't they pay it private?
And all that stuff.
Because they put public there. That's why we have a business with it.
Yeah. So, two things in this. Number one, should the state pay for the medical treatment, even though not in full? Because apparently, I had an interview this morning where the chief of staff said the Senegalese government paid for the medical bill. They only paid for the per diem of the security details, which he said is 1.4. The rest of the money is for other issues. I will for. But number one, should the state pay anything related to the president's mother, his brothers and others? What is the state's definition of the forced family? Does it include the president's mother, brothers, cousins, and uncles, because we are on an extended family? Because the chief of staff said for him, the president's mother, I could not write in the Gambian context, Obama, farmer, Bobby, move forced family. But what does the law say about this? What is wrong in this, number one? Is it wrong, if any?
No, what is wrong about it is that they have not specifically Iman site me a symbol the president.
Okay.
Security the President Obama in the first place. And in President Obama Samba Bankudoro Padiemo the security level for how long? This is the thing. Number two, the big problem with this is, what is this checkup about? And is this checkup not available in the Gambia? You see what I mean? If the checkup is not available in the Gambia, then one can maybe understand. But if the checkup is available in the Gambia at a much cheaper rate, are you doing another, let's say, it is accepted in the laws, and the Gambian people being so generous and so kind to their presidents. They call the president, okay, left the puru ila dimbaya in context when we talk about family.
Yeah.
Because yalo ninko family bangale round foka. Angalo family means ite idimulu inilamzu. Willem family. Any other person outside that won't extended family.
Extended family.
Yeah. So, let's say Gambian context, Gambian, we want to make sure we provide medical cover or medical whatever.
Yeah.
Along in the cabinet, they give themselves in the budget medical cover and whatever that is. So, this medical cover, is it available in the Gambia? If we're a second option on you choose?
Yeah.
Or you go in for luxury over this thing, convenience. Yeah. So the you situation on the
yeah.
I think another checkup is available in the Gambia, and the experts are in the Gambia, and they can do a wonderful job on it. Because Nico checkup, how many checkup in a year? Because Nico checkup, one them forced checkup. Because I thought you follow a guy in a checkup. No one then you are going for diagnosis. For you say diagnosis and a checkup, you'll so this has been going on for so long. It's just so thank God. No most of the miala la banko kanu. Me and him bondi. Maria la ko nim cool manta anno. Banko dingol la na fulo le betinyaka. Wole atina Mari out of his patriotic duties and then out of I pain me so that Ako, you know what? I need to make this. Let the public also be aware of this.
Yeah.
You know, ni mol bela ko be da danyelenga. Can you negotiate fen? You know, you see what I mean?
Yeah.
But the moment you that again no kundron, then you are doing things in mamming and those. That's the bottom line of it.
Yeah.
You see, so Mimbije, a government, a responsible government, should be responsible for the health care of everybody, including President Bama, President, everyone. One more responsible government. But remember the situation of Mimbije, dola mulka fa, dola million jo gatsol dama kaul sama. That place, wo million minjo do we mo jelle jara mini alon and they are entitled to that treatment and they are dying. It is very wrong. You see what I mean? So, and then number two, how much are we paying the president?
Will Kemelu.
Exactly. Will Kemelu. When the president man John himself. Because no more be imakwe kanga jiwe pot. If ananka imakwe le safu no ke pot. That's the bottom line of it. President Obama, President Arjana Tanino, Arjana Obama single court. Ninte Bama Sasara, I don't go to anybody. I make sure I pay the fee from what I sweat over. Because left a minute, Arjana Soto. But now look at what the president has put his own mother under now. Public scrutiny over what me Alungwate as a president, head of state, should have done and not ask anything from anybody. But this is the reality. You remember advice. Any more advice, you have to be very careful of them.
Yeah.
Very, very careful of them. I remember when I came to BAC, when you said, okay, what is this? If you're traveling, what is the traveling allowance? What is the per diem? No, you are the head of the institution, whatever you want, Chairman. This is how they put you in a hole. So imagine if you are a president. Oh, Mr. President, whatever you want.
Yeah.
So Nibizala, honey security, killing security tax. President Obama, Jumale Olo Nimbangoga, much more security tax.
And especially security detail and then separon Minuka Marco because Kebalom. Because I chief of staff interview long way. And I was like, okay, I don't want to make commentary like I said, but it was funny that, people can justify stuff like this.
And this one, you just cannot justify it.
To say, kebalom, so somebody ba mako so wonyante jola. But I can understand. I have a 90-year-old grandmother.
Yes.
And nabita adoptano to nka monyin le mimba mako ela. But abuka tamo no famo because akadokole mutakata.
Exactly.
But I know that is my responsibility. And I do understand the president is the president of the country and his family should be accorded with certain security apparatus. But when it comes to other stuff, obviously, like you said, the president should be able to take care of those.
He should be able to.
Because that is the law.
There is no reason why president from a family, extended family, a medical issue should be borne by the people.
The state.
It's very wrong.
So I thought chairman or not for nana musol na alba mal katalo tano to council le kajo
ko. They tell you all of this is available. But for me, I don't with good conscience I cannot do it.
Do it.
Nina wife had a labor in Buffalo, I paid myself. Ninde from my hospital Medicare, I go and I paid myself. Ninde only has sort of the same thing. But I see staffs, when they have things, they bring it, and then we'll sign it for them and help them. But for me, those staffs, maybe their earning power is very
different from yours.
And we have to help them, especially health and hygiene people. I try to help them in as much as we can. But for me, I don't want to burden that on a taxpayer. It's not fair.
Yeah.
It is morally unjustifiable. It is very, very wrong. You know, even though we as a council provide medical cover to our citizens.
Staff. Yeah.
Not only our staff, but even the residents.
Okay.
But we have a welfare. We created a welfare benefit scheme where like last year we paid over 3 million on school fees. This year the school fee budget went to 7.7 million for school fees.
Yeah.
Healthcare this year we budgeted about 3 million. So we have at the moment more than normal for many only free medical treatment also in Turkey, but they need fair to go. And we want to help them. We have bone problems so they need to go to Senegal for treatment. We want to help them.
Yeah.
So the state has a duty to provide healthcare, basic healthcare to people.
And that's my question. Because I remember the president saying, our healthcare system is good. In fact, the Minister of Health, they honestly, we all say, some of us will say, the healthcare system, but government officials will tell you, our healthcare system is very good. In fact, Barola, Senegal, but now, if our healthcare system is not good enough for the president's mother, how is it good for me and my grandmother?
That's right.
That is the question. And for me, it's not even about the cash. It is about our state of our healthcare.
Yeah.
If it cannot accommodate the president's mother, how fit is it for me, you, and my grandmother?
Because they are the ones, the very government responsible for that failure of our healthcare system to a point that it lacks their own confidence. Because there is nothing extraordinary about president's mother different to anyone else.
It's the mother of the president. President Obama alone.
It doesn't make her anything above anybody else. You see, Nyatonkaya is a very big service. And it is sacrifice.
Yeah.
It's not about in only Africa, we believe Nyatonkaya is about enriching ourselves. But Nyatonkaya is sacrifice. You have to do a lot of extra work. You have to do so much. Can make sure they attain certain level of comfort. Number one responsibility. They attain certain level of security, comfort, and prosperity and progress. But you are the one that is doing the donkey work to make that happen. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Our problem is, President will want all the comfort, all the luxury, and everything. Not only to themselves, but all their children. And not only now to their children and Ilamusod, now they extend it to Mbama and Mfama. The next minute, you remember, President wala brother, President wala Barindingola, President wala nephew. We've seen how Yajale Nying Kushi Fa Ning Kandeafe, it become a norm. Akanake nakata norm de, Molu will take it as in fact it is a law. Atara law amavo, amantara sovereign blato, but they because akakele mol buka a condemn, it continues. And that's why I'm glad covering in Nongera, the reaction of the public.
Yeah.
The reaction of the public tells you, the public never signed for this.
Yeah.
They believe that they're doing so much sacrifice for this family, this one family, and they're getting so much that this one, they need to take that responsibility on their own.
On their own.
Why should they be the ones to born to be added as well? One of the main thing on it. So I think, on a general context, Imam Ming Fo no still is this what is so special about this checkup in Senegal, and how come only Senegal offers better service for this than the Gambia. Than the Gambia one.
Okay.
If you can understand, Nintara referral has been made by the Gambian hospital. They don't have the capacity to deal with it. It needs to go to Senegal. Everybody, I think we need to understand. Can understand that. But number two, why should we be spending 1.4 million for just checkup? If admission happened, then how much are we going to pay? And how many admissions have happened? Because this is just checkup. And it must be a routine.
Anybody come admission or mojo ko Senegal le ojo. Chief of staff ko Senegal le ojo.
Ako Senegal le ojo.
So ako Senegal man sekunda le ojo.
Ako na Senegal fana belka on atonde le bank sona tel fenko. Nawek to. So if they put in all these bills for Gambia, Senegalese are not that very generous.
They embedded in the borders.
Yalong chief of staff have been full kind. Senegal le wag. Senegal you fake on and then.
But talking about that,
blame them.
Yeah, talking about that though, for the most interesting part for me, Wolonko, Chief of Staff ko me and Yinkai to lake by investigate lale. And nga come to koning ya dimi balake ko me and Yinkai to lake. Chief of Staff ma among attending to la foko. Nyinko wrong tale or something told Gamben obey minji. Chief of Staff mawajele.
Wanola nangavoko.
Akomba investigate la.
That is where they are very wrong.
This is how they victimize people.
They are very, very wrong. Public will malabost. They are the ones that are paying everything. Ikan 1.4
Yeah.
Public is the one that is paying it.
Yeah.
It's not Barrow, it's the public.
It's the public.
It's Tom, Jerry, and myself. We are the ones paying it.
Yeah.
So the thing is this: if that public is in the dark, and we're paying something, we are in the dark. Just think about it. Medical bill of joke. Anybody I am paying the medical bill of. I want to know whether that is the amount, that is the right amount I'm paying. On how come the chief of staff is of the big, you see now this is where the arrogance comes into play. Because now I am so special, I am the president. It means that I can do and no one should question me.
Wow.
It's my entitlement, is my right. No, it is not your right, it is not your entitlement. In fact, it is the public's right to know. The person who did this, he's a patriot. He's a patriot citizen of this nation, and he loved this country. He said, you are the people paying this, you should know this. We as a whole country, I think everybody needs to let it be chief of staff himself that will pay the price for it. But this is the reality. The reality is that so many of these things are happening at the State House.
Yeah.
And we are not aware of it.
Yeah. And I think
so many of these
that is the question.
Yes.
How many of these things, so many other things, because this is not the first time the president's mother is traveling.
Yes.
And whenever she travels, she doesn't travel on official visits.
Yes.
Yeah, because she's not an official of the Gambia government.
No.
She doesn't travel on official visits.
No.
But when she travels, she goes with security and some more.
Now think about it. You have the president's mother. How many other president's relatives are in the country? How many of them are getting these preferential treatments? You don't know. It's too many.
Yeah.
So, but if we want to have a a more democratic, a more transparent. Yalumlana, Barrow and his people need to understand, this is the democratic country. You know what I mean? It's not like, jammenga kidol tang sita. No, mulle kardo fayi sita. They are the most powerful people in the country. You have to treat them with respect, with dignity and respect. And then one thing you don't do is, you don't try to hide information from them. You don't try to say you have no right to sort of like interfere into my business. No. It's no longer your business when you use their money for it.
Yeah.
It becomes their business too.
Yeah.
So 1.4 million is a lot of money to them.
Yeah.
And it could have been used for so many other things. Why would it be diverted for the medical checkup of one person?
One person.
That is the big question.
That is the question.
You know what I mean? And it's just a checkup. Why is it that this person is not able to do the checkup in the Gambia and they send the result to Dakar? And then Dakar tells them whether the person needs to come there or not. But checkup you run all the way. That person is old and frail, and then you are putting her under that condition.
But this is the president's mother. She deserves all the good treatment. I
think this one, even if they bring the doctor from Dakar to come and check the mother, it will be cheaper than 1.4 million. For me, that's what I'm thinking. Because most of the medical equipments are in the Gambia. If the doctor comes, the doctor can check her and then go in. You might spend only a few 100,000. But the reality is this, the public money, it is public money. If you're using it, you need to use it in something that is of great benefit to the public.
The public.
You don't just use it willy-nilly, anyhow you like to use it, and expect the public to endorse it. It's not happening. And their reaction proves the point here, because the public said, we don't endorse this. And this is not done with our blessing. So I think they need to try and bring this money back, because the public is saying it doesn't have our blessing. It's either you pay it back or the next one, you will pay it to them.
No, they said there's no refund. Chief of Staff code is not about refund. It's about to investigate Jumalake. So you see, the Kerr Fatou comment section is the most interesting place in the entire world. Even when I'm doing the shows where I enjoy the comment section sometimes even more than the comments, even more than the show itself, because the kind of reactions, the commentaries you get, and sometimes they're very critical. But see, that's the beauty of democracy.
Yes. It comes with the criticism.
Yeah.
For me, some of the criticisms, when I see them, I just laugh.
It's beautiful. I love it.
I used to do this myself.
Yeah. People get very critical of me on Kerr Fatou. I'm like, no, block. Because I say critical things about people. So I expect people to say stuff about me. But, I enjoy the comment sections. Thank you all for the interesting comments. Chairman, now, West Coast. Salaji be West Coast lakono.
Yes.
Ngaminje salaji ni watu kono. For me, I don't know whether you lua normally, for my lua normal. But for me, what was disheartening, listening to these women, especially there's this particular man, Musonga Minyangamira, Atomumbara Bojanet, I want to call her name here. She said she's a single mother of 7 di warola babul afon la ka dingol balunde aka aisle wa fa nim panketol ala bungolo fafta ta lentoto ana dingol korda tabula ala broda la ka makoy ya ala korda boy nini musol la moy ita suto sinola. For me is that part for me, and I've seen so many people like her who mi alonko yela kordal demolis. Chairman, it makes me ask the question. I understand Nico Molota settlement noleto mi alonko itante. But for 5 years, ni musoko 5 years tabala bungo loka. Doko 4 years, doko jelu. Ibe bungo loka. Almost stop.
They did not say anything.
Almost stop. One of the ladies ko atela kaito. Physical planning for a stamp. I kaito tandi mola na reporter la ko physical planning de atela kaito stamp ala kora kaito. B ni wo same physical planning na ta ya kora boy. I don't know who is in the right and who is in the wrong. Because near Salajin call be a press conference near Lamoy. Ika kumol min for. Yaman sakunda Lamoy, you get confused. But akita nyawu nyama. Balafa ni hino ngawole long. Ni mila aerial ti ye salaji demolition only. Ya jinyade.
Nenga nyame is wrong. Mansakunda mbolo soroje. And then they sembeja yodoronela against poor and very vulnerable people. Ebe semboleja ikekang. And then mindiate olekekang. That's the bottom line of it, because yalong in Lua, he who comes to equity must come with clean hands. Momin nada Lua nyatilung Lua nyatilung nyantanala ibulu senem. Mansakunda nyun dulal soto nyadil. That is the question mark. Dolunga million from our own, because yale man vendod. See,
as a council, you didn't know anything about it?
We don't know anything. They don't involve us in any of this business.
Okay.
And then they just use sembo demolition. No man sakunda neka demolition until we were victims of it at Berikam. So near with demolition on be very, very cautious about that. A kakene symbol and luabagatat. Symbol. Power, operation, big operation, police ye dunguna, ye mol, ye nyapi molka, ye tilimbalea, adiate nyami. This is what is happening. Because I cannot see nyunu kabiri nyingera, mansakunda man nyunu saman ke samba kitio. Yale mauk. So they did not involve any court business there. But now you're dealing with people's interests in any other country, where whatever decision you're going to take as a government is going to affect the interests of your people. Ikefan sementu ya dami, ikaku sambalualero, yela kaitol bondi, omuli yela kaitol bondi, ni memang kaitol so desaje lua e sementu ya. Banyimman sakunda dronnem, ka jega fontel tam nyundai na nyapaka ya bank bang. Delta. Power belongs to me. No. Reasonable mansakundal don't behave like that. You follow a process. If you go to the people, you notice them. In this country, is the bailiffs. And they are sanctioned by the Sheriff Court. But you have to go through a court system and then go through. But number one, a reasonable government. Ni tata fo aket scenario kada ngamen hani ya jamata ma aketa burfutu ja babo men na kene ba mu 10 years or 20 years amanda mole bugon lo fol tata fo lot adana raga will be bonded, but the government looked at the interests of the community. People find ni ko be mbe boy la jan. That is the woman al balal. We cannot afford that. Let us compensate you somewhere else. The problem is government eka keno ta mulbul. In Sukuta, Naming understand. Is that because this kenol musukuta ngole.
Because Sukuta kenol me all for.
Sukuta tam. That is the hard fact.
Mansakunda na tata.
Mansakunda na re tol ko. Inada le go reserve la ni nyabete kan ya bushila. Iko be compensate la. Yalu mi fo fonita. Ye compensate kenedola modola keno.
But iko fo muso dole mi fo Yankuba mean something very interesting. Ko kabiri ko janga nyimbe tal as reserve land. Nyimbe kala karambongolti, nyimbe kala loptanolti. So nyindole be kala central to youth center ning Marcel ni fenkedol. Bari you damning identify as hospital mala ni mung. It all physical planning mo fongol kilonga allegedly ni musola diamoto inata ota yo wafi ya di modolo. Yanko yata sate molbulu ila inheritance. Ya allocate for loptano ni fendol inata loptano be area min Toyota yo wafi mola. And then ni itola ni area dole ko mimbe kala school ni kudol to itol fane yela building ol ke woto inata sa inata wol boy but ite minu wafi modol la ema wol boy. This is the allegation coming from the people.
In fact, Brikama Council, you look at info. Nsa sementria with what we also found at Brikama Council is that every estate ni badadal. Nyantale dulabula je for recreational centers. And in bade ko in school in park market in parks was species will be nyanta estate agent will nyanta odila. What was happening? Near did the same physical planning with the council, then it will like a muriol fana wafi the same estate agent ko alje fana di mole alo. So I am not surprised. And then nying ya mi tandi wala mnyendo go musol nyunu coming for it. They got the same thing from the same people. It only a wafi ya But to start with, the land belongs to Sukutarians. Ya bushi wala nyadile. Let us talk about that. Because welcome in Vondole, wala mnyendugo. Ye keno nyintale. Iko be compensate la Canada. But what Canada for another man compensate kodola de. Ye compensate keno la vare compensate keno no for modo la kenolti. So imagine ye ñu bondi la keno de tara wol ni won non dun ni ñola. So wol fana nit ñi no back and forth wo keno. The same situation has been going on because land problem dispute is the number one problem in our
this
courts.
country. Yeah, it is.
Simply because Manzakuna found like a more jakasi nyogono in the land issues though. Because Muniatina, central government is still holding on to land issues instead of delegating it to the local councils. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
But they are holding on to all the land issues. Their chess. And Unida Rajibe, that central government, especially those that were at the land department, it only like Kenosha Mobit in the com. Near Reservo Bushi Common Kolbulu. Yeta ifong e kene ba do bi fong ya lande ya ke la musute mo re ak badin toto e ori justade ni tata nya de fong be wa fela trude ba this is too much of a problem but the reality is this demolition o nyande fong na wala you know ngajele ka for they coming to do more demolition
Phase 2 yeah
take this here from me near demolition of bank across it wo kenonye Ebetale ya allocate to a minister, you do allocate to MPP kunkumba do jana, you do kete, you don't be bondi. This is how they work. The same system you always sambanu sanya when they went to that port thing. Kataka sanya kula keno be mark. Ila fa sade karagilo be boile ga fole ko phase 1. Wala no ko sa phase 2 better than do phase 3 wala mi sanya be bondi. But then they realized that go mol mi no form be deep sea port nyung fang kunna wol fang they are beginning to itade modol dara brikila le ni gajmal tam nyane ko karle tam nyane ko je ni be nyam min fen ko le ye ma ko madi follow ito le la bungol that ga low because they know the deep sea will be abedula nyimbe become a bit more affluent because of the port so they want to have big land for themselves. The same thing they're doing to Salaji people. These people are victims. There can be no justification for what they are doing to them. No justification. No justification. They don't have no papers. Ministry. Ikasila dore avoe han tolo ngin plan list le kabir mama sankoto. Atarab kenetuel for malong we have similar thing in Tambana in Brikama. They told us Tambana initially when we came in, the previous CEO controlling Tambana is council owned. Akunye bulundalang golle adin. Ndonga KMC al nale man balito bonye bega bulundalang gol ko nyani de ngani BSC ma for KMC. What is going on here? Well, but this belong to
us.
BSC. No, this is our land. This is Bulundal. Talk to ministry, they say we listed cover in 1994. You don't know where things. So more land, I told you lease at the ministry without even they don't. And then you know what is so funny? They told us they lease it, but they don't even have a map of what they lease.
Map of what is there?
The same situation is what you probably have in Salaji. It's very, very bad, and they need a total policy change on land, and then physical planning coming along nyami. Wol nyanta di la nyami fo wol ne buka taning social security wol buka di mo la nyanta di la nyami. Physical planning are the ones that are responsible for all the irregularities in the physical planning of this country. Ni silol fon jibe ni ko kana sila do ko le silol jibe silo jenkete ngai tonte and then each of those land data physical planning ma bol data efengol. How are we going to we need to be serious about this thing. We need to be serious about it. And then we need to start having land tribunal, not district tribunal. But why are we sticking to feudal system, a system that we found here, pre-colonial system, and then we still maintain the same system when our laws have now basically clearly defined what land and land ownership and everything. You know?
I think we need to na land policy nyanta jube kulale and then inheritance fana ye hakilo to baake because no ta katinyar baleke bare ne mo
government nyante fonyolale kanyapi molla kenolka It's very, very
Bari ko man salita mo kenovate. Yala wo goro na luwa fanan
bari
fo.
loi e min fo ni mansal sulata keno la pour mobile na fa
Na kam ha.
bara ma fo mansal sula la bigo mansal ta di la mo
Mo
kelen
ko
na
wala
e
problem.
modo wel kordale ya di modo the same thing you have in the coastal fengonye loi e min fa ko tourism development
Ha.
sa itolo ka kenol beta burful hide and all these places within the 1000 mile radius to the sea so egata egela bungol loje
Andi nyanda luwa min fanan kela because coming ni ajibe ka fo fenko kan ba kan momanya na silaje because TDA nye right momanya na silaje ka use pour ni hotel ol ni lojol ni fengo ko di tourism development bari kana min je for example o ninte mu business person tintara ministry ko lafta factory lola comme to la men ngamira modo lafta no factory la je e land ba den na sate mano kan tonkon fo tonkon e ko mentem factory enta wala kala ba nywato ko meta mbe kanje ngamra nga apartment do fo mo je yabe lo kanje
because
at some point near apply for this now after that time o dollar rek ya change ya ke residential fengori atara kayto bebul so ikaje banku dingol ko kane kam fale kaje kon tolla sate lan lo nyinti alko alba kala pour development isulati mo banku dingol se na faso to je e se do ko so to je ka ne fengo industry lo lamen o birkama o mandina ring banku sate dingol be do ko so to je so sate ngol ka kontan le ko si fal so to je but ni okay yana o change along the line ya change ay ke tati yana ke business fengo mi alon ko ni ya nyine minna ngaje le wosi ata ja ni mo fenne
tinyar ba because imagine you see I'll give you a few examples battle hardened highway space bale benunje
yeah
it all not eco because they need a silo inside ya talala ya ke 3 lane sila size ni mbeje all di mold yeah but sign let's say sama Gambia we want to lafaka traino tramol fena
yeah
wara lafaka traino la silo bill next to the main road sign mo silo keno bon
la yabe
yo keno beta ya be di nyola silo kanje yo ye je fa sign traino la sila bord la fata sign you see what I mean secondly kamalo inata durum reserve land ya be tala nyote may ak dunta nyamin dol baf la failol filta failol jata nga fladi dolir sabato nga kilindi la nga fladi nga fenke next to kamalo josuwan cemetery banjul nim banko kargano be gata bade la dam woto fata fa say mol buka bade la so but kamalo they have enough space is a bade bonno no mole dami bari ye ba yodi yo tala nyote ya tala minu tema say dol bije wole keno nyintale imanta use la bari ba mutala jele for future ni modo na de wa fala wale ya luasa maria at a very expensive price banko bede na mena mudanda ni atal kude nyotema itol da maya benefit in the meantime ni mule bande sodo wara mul fure banda in banjul o serekunda they have nowhere to bury
them
kamalo the only last place there you want to be adiate nyamia kauna this is very very bad. So their land policy is very bad. Many alongo is reserved for the public use. They're dividing it among themselves. This is crazy. So they don't engage, consult the local authorities or the local representatives. So Salaji, semmole be jaikan, semmole be use kan to very vulnerable people. Mindiate ka yusi kando. You see, because nentara yalo ning tonya bebul ani believe ta ko itele be siloka ibuka nyabi moka ikata le ma de zamba kitele eta fo diamo ka bawol
mo ba suggest kanjang is council considering very combo nyin kene diamo be ka ko itele bankoka andung ngalon commence atol councils man can also but is there a possibility because obviously our role as a council is to provide services to people or either resident lombang resources Kenya lombari will be in the kala cool metal area is there a possibility where because alning kabil will be kala do ko keno la kaila land yol because ngaji le kamo jay land baso to kombokono kabilolu ye deng yeta ya wafi real estate mole ore ya wafi mo kilingole and other stuff is council considering wosi falu ko land si fal sang because nim council ya sang wo woning mansakundala masakundate tariala ka boy wo kambake, and then you can use it in those communities as housing estates or ka area. You know, is there anything that you guys are looking into?
No, we are buying land for what we call land banking. We are buying them to preserve it for the future.
Okay.
Because we want the future to be able to have something. You know, we are trying to do that.
Okay.
Wale adna kabiring Tambana, we realized that this issue was there between Bulundala and Kuluning, you know, until we were in the middle of it all. You know, I told them, you know what we need to do? We need to enter into an agreement with them where they cannot sell it, we cannot sell it. And then we lock ourselves into a very long period so that that land can be preserved for the future generations of the community. And that's how we were able to do that. Other communities in Amenke, other people, many lands, we try to buy it. In places like Sukuta, we even want to go for 20 by 20. There's a whole community in Sukuta, they're looking for a space for burial, for a graveyard. And then we found somewhere, we're trying to buy that for the community. The community is doing their own contribution. Council also need to come up with something. The problem we have is, we have so many problems, and our revenue is not up to where we need to get it to be able to do all of these things.
Okay.
If you look at our land banking budget, we try to budget about 10 million for land banking. That is, we buy land 10 million. So nenga kabilo je komi nya soja nyami. Nenga kabilo je ko be keno wafila. Ngo no sa me mengala. Ndolo nga million nanga modiala. Keno nya tara in the community akanata, and then we lock it in.
Okay.
We don't say owned by BAC, because you know why we don't do that. Because ninda vanamba je don't have BAC wal vanamba wafila.
Okay.
So we do a communal ownership. Where we pay the owners this thing, but we try to say this is owned by
the community,
the VDC and the BAC. And then we do a lockdown of maybe 50 years, and we agree on it can only be used for public usage or public housing or something of that sort.
Okay.
And then it locks the land there. Because you also have to accommodate that situation. BAC fananeneka land soro le abe waf. Do you see what I mean? They were having land yalonga scenario for where BAC will be allocated space for recreational in estate will go no. So now we'll tell what you go to Dalaway Estate. It's an estate. Where is the space for Marcel for the council? It's not there.
It's not there.
Where is the space for school? It's not there. And then how can you have an estate turned into a residential without all of these facilities? This is the problem.
It's the problem.
You cannot exclude the local council from any of these things. But so many issues and problems in the country, they need to be addressed. But at the moment, the leadership we have is they don't have. They told the only problem is they want more land.
More land.
I don't care why land or president the problem with the bank. Ngaga keno bele wa. Adaka wala keno be ma tal this wa ka bele wa fi. Don't do man keno wa fila and he's very good at that.
We'll try to reach out to the Minister of Local Government, especially physical planning, to come on the show, because somewhere on the ground Bantaba, we have one of the victims in Sukuta, Salaji, one Atajang ordeal for. So we also want to hear from the authorities. We had the press conference, but at least we'll have a one-on-one conversation that will be more detailed. Now, Alkalia Kulfana, Abe Mwila area, Willinkama. Willinkama Alkalo Yara Bondile, Mimbije. So we interviewed him, and it was interesting. Ako keba you know, keba ate alkalo nying others beko is politically motivated. Keba nying ko ala governor nene ya kumanle governor kai ko munati na president buka ganye Willinkama. Akate kai ko bila buka ganye barkununga ka ganyele. So after inata kumande letter o diala ya bondi so ngamre minke jefa badi ngolombang, and then the VDC and the alcalo, they are not cooperating with that, they are not happy with that. Wasifalu, is the council not involved in these things? Because I mean it's under Brikama area council.
Yeah, yalo. By right, yalo yen the system we have a two parallel systems. Meaning they are competing each other. And it's a big problem for our local governance. Mean get a problem with it. Kabiran Jawara Bejang. From but when Gambia independence nga system o min tara non tubabol bulu ngole system o nyin no continent. Tubabol were having this feudal system where atundel van kings or local kings in their region you will turn into chiefs. What chiefs solu will nada ke maralol they were depending on those chiefs purka law and order maintained in the society. Wo system o adopta alkalo lu sa tawul ni mim follow sa tawul wol keta alkalo te min la tunno mu jede wol keta chief salt ye fantara king min koto yela sa tawul min koto wo keta la king de tubawol wol fali ya ke chief de but what chieftain singing was part of like a royal family manamenunje family minimum king ti wala ka kontine ke sefold na banda dingo ya ta alkalia fana mbolo nyama na banda dingo ya ta na banda mama dingo ya ta this hereditary fenkonyin system onyin wala be woto saying kabirin jamme nyolnat they wanted to reform because now we want everything to be based on democratic system elected by the people and accountable to the people akana ke ndolle la family mu everything so but in other minga instead of a chief alban it all fanang the chief alka see what I mean so they brought in village level they brought in VDCs because now VDCs should be responsible for development they should be elected or selected by their kabilos in the village you know so at the district level they say we need wards and then they brought in councillors to be elected by the people to go to the councils and at council level they brought chairman and mayors and other people but they still retain the old feudal system of alkalia in the village Sefuya in the district and then to make the problem even more compounded the governor instead of commissioner governor into the region we became the first country like a governor elect so you have these new two systems now each trying to find its own footing on the ground so now each of them are fighting each other so VDCs wants power from the alcalos. Alcalos want VDC to be completely controlled by them. Big problem. So you have the VDCs against the alcalos in village level, safe and control by Kelola at the district level, and then you have the chairman and the governor fighting at the regional level. The systems are not working. Democratic leaders also now, what the president and the powers try to do, because now the people seems to have power. To elect their leaders who represent them and hold them accountable, it all where they feel like they're lacking those powers or people have taken that from them, we will retain the alcalos and empower them so that we defeat the purpose of this whole local government sort of like a autonomy business. So this is the problem you have. So alcalos now, they turn the alcalos to their more or less they are political stooges. Left aim won't be convinced. This becomes the big problem for alcalos. Alcalos' role now is mainly redundant. They only there for president ko commandant ko president ko aning safo ko aning governor ko big problem. Governors now have no other power except katara alcalol bonnila ibe munonla iba fale al sato dun nembulu nyoto alkana son VDC e keteng alkana son yegedeng we have a very big problem right down to the very bottom. Our democracy and our governance is having problems, and a society of that nature, if we don't adopt one system and move on, we have a problem. We have to be a more accountable and a more democratic society than the feudal system we inherited before. Or we leave the democracy and we go to the royal system, a monarchy sort of system. We let them rule and then we all follow. But if we want to be democratic system, it needs to be right down the channel. The same thing with at the cabinet level. We used to have MPs, they would serve both in parliament and in cabinet. And then they have a bit of a dilemma, because if they want to become the total puppets of the president, sometimes that can backfire at their electoral, at their constituency level. So they have to track the balance very carefully, because the president you by cabinet doesn't mean that you lose your seat in parliament. But if your people fire you, then you have both, you lose both.
Both, yeah.
You see what I mean? So they were very careful about these things. So Yaya Jamanatako, he wants complete separation of the two. We should have cabinet made up of Secretary of States who are not members of parliament. They're not supposed to be politicians. They're supposed to be technocrats. And then the politicians go to parliament and then hold the other ones accountable. This is the perfect scenario how it's supposed to be. But in Mingara, you see, they will come with a very good thing which favors democracy. But then democracy plays his ugly party. So in the end, what they've done is, they decided they found a particular long in technocracy.
Yeah.
For me, Dr. Savali Samba agriculture, me alam fellow agriculture. But because Atalamun number one Fengoti, Wurlan and the Amanada come up and makes sense. But if somebody Minka Wuragavo, Akadanya Jali number one, so I made him minister. Everybody suffers. No one gains, no progress. And then sometimes we ask ourselves, why is this country not progressing? Well, these are some of the problems. The problem is in the system we have.
The system
you see, when Usman Sonko came, one thing I like about their style was they put cabinet members who are completely neutral from politics. Technocrats. You don't see them on any political platform. Sonko Nana, deputy, they do the politics. These other one, they only want to talk about the expertise.
Yeah.
Senegal is moving.
And told for me support become foreign justice minister kamanko justice is slow. But the my for mole kununga ko look atebuka mo for sale do kola. Let the system works and the justice.
And it works, yes. So this is the thing. Because now the political influence is gone. The person is saying, between me and God and in my responsibilities, I am going to make sure I perform to the best, or to the best of my ability. And then he's doing that, everybody benefits. All the political parties feels like they can enter into the office of the minister. But minister Minkalwaka, UDP call the Malavile, UDP cut Malav, and then we are farmers. How is that minister going to be responsible for our farms? Or of the progress of our farms? Everything is politicized down to the wire. So at the end of the day, you feel like, why did we end up moving from the old system to the new system if we said we wanted that sort of separation of powers? And all of a sudden, we mix them all at the same time. It doesn't make any sense. In fact, now what we've done is we created even more problem for ourselves. And then Barrow took it to another level. He created ministers of advisors. He also created ministers of political supporters as advisors. So you have 2-3 layers of problem. MPs, cabinet, advisors. How is that system going to work? It is not working, and they need to understand that a system like that cannot work. It's not working anywhere. No one is doing it in any part of the world because they know it cannot work, and we are doing it. The same thing even at the village level. This is the struggle everybody is having at most villages in the region.
In the region. Now let's talk about BSC proper. Kabri Watajan, the last time you came, we talked about what you guys did for the councillors, and then what you were, at that time, you were fighting corruption.
Yes.
You were trying to get people out of your, it was, I saw somebody said, I mean, I think it's Dr. Sabali, Demba Sabali.
Yes,
Somebody cautioned me, I can't fight Demba, doctor, because he's Demba.
No, can't doctor use, I'm a doctor.
But
oh, it's a stolen time.
But if I fight Dr. Sabali.
I know, I stuck for life. No,
I make a Dr. Sabali. Dr. Sabali. But yeah, at BSc, Cabral Nata, obviously, the first year was trying to stabilize things, trying to get some people out of the system. I mean, I said it here the other time. I mean, Yankuba is vindicated. Commissioner to become area council. I mean, before be commissioner bole semen to yaka. Now, this second year, can council. Alemunek.
No, my second year from complete for.
Alma complete. Albolokon. I'll do the second Sanjay Flora. Alemuneke on in Santem.
So we've done so much in Brikama so far. Firstly, no word development fena, which is our flagship.
Yeah.
And then that 500,000 T each ward.
Ha.
And each ward they've been very busy with a lot of activities. Dolie bohol sing, dolie kurang sambat blado, dolie football field that funding kyoli, dolie loptano la dulal deda, dolie Marcelo, Jamabaya Marcelo, and then dolie silol deda, ila silol rehabilitate. So many things. Tolfon is silol deda to rotation.
Okay. Yeah.
You see what I mean? We boost our revenue almost because Janninkata, they were struggling at around 70, 75 to 80. We took it to 155.
Yeah.
That means we've done so well in clamping down on corruption. And then we started investing. Murunda. Na karam to dinungon la karam mungujo, up to about 300 last year. We doubled that to 600 this year. We've not only done that, but we created job opportunities for over 240 youths into the BAC itself. So that replicates to so many things, and to indirect employment to so many people in the region. So, and then we also bought new Mbali trucks on. We got half, we're waiting for another half. No other half nada. I believe this year, the experience of the people in terms of Mbali Tola management in the region will change drastically.
Yeah.
And that is all true because of we are able to fight corruption and we are able to maximize the revenue, and then we put people first in terms of development to make sure that everywhere in the region get their fair share. Before we came, nendara campaign wala nidara lado de ga vai brigade de ganzul gai no lo na mu kanimon ne na mu kanim buga fenjija. Now in the second year we double what we gave in the first year. First year we dish out 14 million. Second year, we're giving out 28 million. Altogether, 42 million in 2 years.
In 2 years.
And that 42 million is translating into development. Musola na called Fenster, Musole boreholes. 82 boreholes, now let's sing in West Coast.
82.
Last year alone, 82 boreholes.
Wow.
Now let's sing last year. Council alone on the road development project is about 20 something. With Foundation 221, we've done almost about 40 something with them. We then have Swigam, we then have Gammol, we have Mama Africa Foundation. All of these foundations came together and helped us to a point that, and then I think the other one is Sky Blue or Blue something. All of them came partnered with the council to reach that number of 82 boreholes.
Wow.
Almost every community or every big settlement has 1 or 2 boreholes from this.
Left and allowed because we are on what Birkama area council, Nico Birkama area council, Birkama Dracolef.
Yeah.
Nita and Tola Mandina, Rignol, Tola Manual to Wolman Council Cola, and Tolman Council Cola. Nico Birkama area council, more camera, and Woman Birkama, the Malti, called the Malan. So, how present are you in all these communities in the region?
In the region.
Because that is very important.
Now we are. And through the word development, this is why the word development is very important to us. Because now we don't dictate what communities need to do with their money. We give the communities the money into their account. We hold them accountable. We tell them few things we look for. Quality, and then number 2, public benefit. The projects you have to implement have to be for the benefit of public. It cannot be for the benefit of an individual. So council ita kodo dila la ita habitu ko ala korda ko not happening. I boholo ala korda ko not happening. You understand? We don't want those. MRC lo ila korda ko. If you be lo ila korda ko ita kabira, it's not happening. It has to be for the public. Secondly, ita kala just to make sure atule kodo be damo, and then the quality has to be maintained. So these are the projects that we want them. These are the guidelines we give them, and we say the rest, you determine what you want to do because you know your priorities. Because we know what is the priority of the region. Initially, for example, Nema Kunkujang, and then some of this settlement. Nawek bow to land and they don't need water as a problem. But their number one problem is water.
It's water.
Because Nawek Ghana.
Yeah.
You know, Nawek Nana that Tilibulo sometimes I can also look more. So don't be a fool killer pompol wutuika Nawek Batu because you malafi below in that. So we told them whatever they went for bowls. They started building bowls in their communities. It's other villages in other regions. You know, Musolu don't complain about garden and fengol. Now the communities are getting something, and then we are having a big community is having something on an annual basis. And then for us, over time, Tenung, Mandarin, and many other places would not have this problem. In fact, you know, for deliberately, before we start any capital projects around Brikama or anywhere else, we make sure what development follow a job. What solely a busy tala. Maybe it has sort of a busy and they're working.
Yeah.
Once they're doing that, then whatever you're doing in Brikama, or Brikama Masa or this and that, people look out for you know Brikama the Malem West Coast.
West Coast.
West Coast. So we are looking at from coming for everyone needs to have their fair share of
the development.
Their fair the fair share that they contribute to the council. Very, very important.
Very important.
Yeah.
Council, the biggest challenge, I guess, was garbage. One of their biggest challenge, garbage, waste collection, and in drainage.
Yes.
Because some feel like
Yes.
and I was one of those people first year made a big excuse and go look. You know, not a sign. Ebe kelolo kono hani sign. Email a house put no in order. But getting into the second year, Sama Canal, garbage truck solo, ale doors and wall natale. Some of them are coming. So I don't know whether you guys are going to be 100% covered. Regional be covered no la nini motol nata. Is there any other plans of increasing? What is the? Let's start with the garbage collection first, because I remember what jana baringaji lengamrali clearly. Think you marse bimbe jana told. All you know marse.
Yes.
Because wall got to complain all about it.
But with the new trucks that we have, problem on the wall and so blood.
Okay.
Man so blood so but so blood on the way coming because no fan and sand. No bulldozer fan and sand. So by an so blow nada. Metala ndole better you know adding thankful because the trucks we have are very, very solid and very
good.
So trucks will apart. So sign coming in most areas in coming for Willem to go Dulale identifying a Fumolium Balitul 5G.
Okay.
The near 5G on a weekend basis we come and clear them because we are not able to provide household collection because Modobal. So every time we're checking and then they are on transit coming. We hope in ending of the time. I think the estimated time that is given now is middle of May towards the ending of May.
Okay.
So once we have that one, then Balito will still have problem of Balito
because the regional
is very big. We'll still have problem of Balito, but because we've done a trial before, we know our problem. So we know if we have one. What we want to do is Sanamendren will have its own one. And then Olyundum will have one. Bujumbala will have one. Brikama will have one. Kombo South will have one. This is our major problem areas when it comes to waste. Kombo South Fango, Mansia back. But we want that second Fengonying to be able to go after these other ones.
Okay.
So we want to start with that and then see how we are able to manage with that one. Because we want to start two bi-weekly collection. That's what we want to start.
Okay.
So Nina that will like a Monday. You know that next Monday they will come in the following Monday. You know what I mean? Because we had this rota system that we were doing before when we launched the Senea. But we were totally dependent on private businesses.
Yeah.
We have a problem, so everything collapsed. So now that we are having our own, we still want to encourage private partnership because councils alone cannot do this.
Yeah.
It's very, very difficult. You know, but if you partner with them, at least itoli etasodoje. Ntoluka collection will mitigate it a lot. But I believe the experience people will have will also next year, depending on if now what we will do is, because we don't want to do, if you do like KMC, it also has its own disadvantage.
Yeah.
Because you will end up struggling. The whole fleet will struggle.
Yeah.
If you bring in too much fleet, you struggle as well.
Yeah.
So what you do is you look at the need. So we start with 5. Each of them, you provide them with 1.
Yeah.
Now, there will be one that they will not be able to cover. And then you look at that one, you try and supplement with. You add another one. You add a vehicle for that one, because you know now with 2 they should be able to cover. You would also have regions where the vehicle will not be able to fill up easily. Because one of the things we realize, these vehicles, sometimes it takes them 2 to 3 days to fill up before bitala katabon. Because 20 kg are compactless. So a lot of our waste near Bankola element money, you waste do buka sia. You see what I mean? So with that way, we will be able to manage effectively. Then Motobalu, we might still have what we call a collection point.
Okay.
Where we will want people to, like, for example, our dom site is Tambana. Tambana is very far for people that are here.
Yeah.
So we want to also encourage tricycles. Donkey carts, we have a bit of a problem with them. Because you told collect na mulia lena problem. So, but we, at the moment, we are not complaining too much because we ourselves are handicapped.
Yeah.
So if you are not providing the service to the people to come back,
you cannot discourage. Yeah.
You have a problem. So we said to people, so we try to take that burden for now. But once we are able to provide it to household, then we will try to have this proper regulation of donkeys. So either we create somewhere closer to them, they come and dump, they pay, and then we come and collect there and then dump it.
Dump it.
You see, that way, we don't put too much burden on ourselves, which we cannot, but we share the burden with everybody in terms of household collection. Ndolonga collect. Now share, like I told you, we are doing bi-weekly, once every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Now share, before the 2 weeks, the donkey carts can collect it, they dump it on the, because we still have these big trucks. Many along go, there will be a shovel. And then those trucks will also still be able to go and collect the communal dump sites.
Yeah.
Or the illegal one. Yes. So this is how we are looking at waste management. And our Fengonya. At the moment, the problem we have is we were expecting these trucks as early as ending of January.
Okay.
But Minketa, what we are told is that trucks manufacturer so when they got the order, the manufacturer went into production of these trucks. So Kabri produced, they have to test them, and then they ship them.
Okay.
So now we are on the shipping part.
Okay.
But in the meantime, we try to pay our part so that before the vehicles come, it would have met us, paid everything.
Yeah.
So it's not our problem. So when the vehicles come, they just give it to us. We just go on that. Because inauguration business, then they go in the next year and start working. Yeah.
That's good. What about the drainage system called Sama Canal?
Yes.
Because one problem when it comes to, especially in Brikama.
No, we're working on that. I think in the, maybe not next week, but the following week, we're going to start some drainage work. We want to start it as early as possible. What we, drainage also, these things sometimes is a nightmare. The problem you have is you have many stakeholders that you have to engage, even for simple things like drainage. You have to engage, NDMA has to be part of it, National Disaster Management. You have to be engaged about it to know what is the specification. You have to also engage NRA because it's to do with the roadside. So we engaged NRA, they came, they did the survey, they are supposed to do some of the specifications, and then we try and engage. I think we need to do a follow-up on that because they came, but they get too busy, that's the problem, And so they need to, we are also doing our own designs that we need to share with them. And then hopefully we can get that sorted and we can be able to start something there. But one of the things, there are certain areas, pre-existing drainage benunjel. But our drainage, after so many years of neglect,
Sukita.
Ebele sukute ebe boita. Ima saku brikama la gunjur Johnson. Drainage be one side, the other side drainage be obe boita. So minu be boita sign. We have to start cover the leveling with the previous drainage. That one is easy because it has a pre-existing one.
Yeah.
Minimum pre-existing one also. That's where you have issues with, because then the leveling, the topography, and all of the thing, they bring all the ideas, engineering terms. Because for us, we want to do this like yesterday. We don't want to wait till But these people have their own way of doing things, and it takes time. It's very frustrating for a politician, because a politician wants to do things so that he doesn't want to attract much criticism and attention. But these people don't work like that. They want to do their study, feasibility, topography, all these things. And then you are like, well, how long will this take? We don't have that time, you know?
Yeah.
So this is the problem. But hopefully, we'll be able to start something as early. The target is before end of the month. Otherwise, we'll start by the beginning of next month. But not later, we are following the technicalities. This is the technicalities that are involved in this. They are a nightmare.
Yeah. So let's look at all of this because of taxes.
Yeah. So one of the things massive big tank for septic tanks. So we now have two big ones that are on standby.
Yeah.
Because you can't over the years is union that too we were having a whole lot of problems with you can someone in Asaba. That am forest or non forestry, national environment, it was a big problem. But this is rainwater. It's not a sewage, or it is not other word. But you can't understand. So we were having all those battles left, right, and center. And then they had to take them to police. We had to go and tell the police and then show the evidence, and then they release them, and the whole day the job is not done. It's a real big nightmare.
What about I think especially the fish market, that area? Complain kasi ako marito
ba? Fish market, sewage let walk in drainage. Fish market benyame. You need masingola be kono. Me along go. Ngamra this for Kalem for Jaika project lem. Japan na government project. Imagine a fish market London in the first place.
Yeah.
But masingola bije me along go fish market la jino. Yalo ni pareta ni a fish market ni la fish do ko bega ni pareta. Eka jebe jibi ka clean ne water la. Ha. E juo nyimbe floss o juo be kata dumal. Ha. Nada do duma o juo ni fish la won wol ni fengo min be karaje. Wala kana ke jino rungo nyende. O jino rungo nying anitol fana a cold store soto je. They have a cold store underneath which produces about 14,000 liters on every, I think, 3 days or 4 days or a week or something like that. But it produces a lot of water, liquid. So this liquid ninga bulani na drainage kono rain drainage a tambita dawla go be sun kandila. So ndahanya na ngabulani drainage kono aka finde.
So mno bekela wala solution o tedo.
So the only solution ngamen zero wala nka confine abedame nga tanko londa la ka sabaka tabo. Because so na isolate from the rain drainage system onye. Memo problem ode fish market ngolu because previously Ministry of Fisheries they pay all their dues to ministry, not to us.
Yeah.
My J muso la complain ne ko ke tax le signafla. Ta. Ministry get tax, council get tax. Ndol na da fo ke sa ndol dal tax la bayri tax fula. Ndol babula la jele ministry ka tax. But the problem Ministry it is their problem, but they left it to us. So Kabirin Doldada, what was happening at BAC is BAC was saying it's not our problem. It is the problem of the ministry because they are the one collecting juice there and the fish market is still under their control. So Kabirin Doldada, no, this is a problem for our residents and our market vendors. So we have to deal with the problem. That's why we went for this big septic tank. Now Fenan to help us with it.
Yeah.
Follow, ninga nyin tankin nimul sambaje, 10,000 liters, 14,000 liters.
Yeah.
Eka almost 2 days kala janni ba be saba. But this tank ba is 20,000 liters. Aka 2 trips lega be saba. So it's about 40,000 liters minka bo in a matter of 3-4 days. So saying, wo moto ba nying katale every Tuesday, every Thursday, and then I mununje ning assemble warta. It will go either Sunday or Saturday. Okay. This is how we are managing it.
Okay.
Nin samanata. Rainwater pumping to that one is another problem.
That's what I'm saying. Nin samanata. Yes. Now you are able to manage it with them. But nin samanata, do you think?
So nin samanata, what we have to do is we have to that 2 days or 4 days routine would have to change to daily.
Daily.
Yeah. Okay. Every day we have to go cast sabaita. The next day we have to bear that. It costs us a lot of money because fuel all we use. But we have to do that. But because minkeda, would you in Japanese old balola, ya find they need a sewage system. So I don't need a sewage level. Near sewage system was a woolem kamajul kataning pipe woman. Come remember to Abdu. Then he should have a treatment center at some point.
Yeah.
Then he bring connect la wala do near connectable junior bakala tala wala nyama in the sewage system.
Yeah.
But because we don't have a sewage system, we only have few drainage system. Ni we have sewage don't la drainage kono you have a problem. Akudula bele sunkan. This is the problem.
This is the problem.
So that's why we don't want to do that. So left kate isolate as it is. Nga septic tank water nga we use kate
Bondi.
So nin samanara. In fact, yajal saying septic tank killing will be dedicated for it. Wala moramanyindi. The mandima goes for commercial and then sometimes go for public like schools or hospitals and then military barracks, police, fire service and other people in the region. So but in Samanara, we'll have to withdraw that from
all
that
of
service.
Them.
So all of them have to now dedicate to fish market.
Wow.
Because fish market produces that much water. And then number two, you have this sort of... So the drainage that we want to do now, we want to be able to depend on that drainage because Samaj Union sub. So by the time the fish market is isolated, Samaj Union would be able to go on its own, where make its way Donaya Katani Marakisala bomb back on a generator. That would help us. But we will also need the sovereign greater that they need to clear the waterway on the other side because NDML and the but it's long time saying Jebe Sukikan. So no more of an deda janen samatema. Block so we have to do that one as well. We inherited too many problems, but the problem will be compounded because of corruption at the council. So until we are able to fight that, we cannot be able to do anything. So now we are on the right path. We are generating revenue. We are developing in our own way. And then we want to do all of these things not at the expense of the other regions because all the other wards have their own challenges. We don't want to say, you hold on to your problem, we deal with only Brikama. No, we want to deal with all these problems one at a time.
Simultaneously.
Yeah.
So, all of this, there's a lot of need collaboration with central government. Recently, President Onata Birkama Sandicato, another visit La Sandicato, and also went to KMC. But I mean, for all of them, he wants to collaborate with. Because central governments and local governments must collaborate. How are you collaborating for the interests of the people of West Coast region?
Yeah, I don't problem. But take it with a pinch of salt.
How?
Because he is never going to collaborate. He is just saying it because the media is there and he wants to sell that to the public. Oh, we want to collaborate with them, but they are not willing to collaborate. He never wants to collaborate to start with. You see what I mean? Brikama, Kabirin told Nada rates, the government rate, for the last 1.5 years in Tolbije Majo. Geology so the only thing coming your well in the car parks. Often is 1.2 million. Your fixed wall to car park is is the same amount they give it to, but they give that to all of us, all the council. That is the only thing we get from them. Narrates and they're owing almost about 15 million on our rates. So where is the Marceo min from Marceo de Coito le min low?
Ha. I was going to.
Settle.
So Albuka tax collect bo Marcel.
No.
So are you
providing? This year they decided that the people they need to pay business license.
So,
but the rent they're not giving us the rent.
So rent ka jumala central
government. Usman Boja nala mulle ka collect. And then they have no legal mandate to collect. So what they're doing is illegal.
Who's providing services to that market? Come Kelenya, mall collect and in Jumala.
We are the ones collecting. We are the ones doing it.
But Almantra race jo kangalia.
Mantra race joka ya mantra fenko joka.
Rent rent beba jo.
Ibeka will pay jo.
And you still providing the service?
Because you can't jump in a moli, yal marceo, molbe gadanya mo fai dulagino, they varangana fai world, so you cannot see when they're doing it. So we have to collect.
Wow.
At all levels. And the money asanje, they dump it everywhere. We have to collect.
But
it's a lot of revenue that is there which could have come to council.
But you should open a dialogue and because these things are important. The lifeline of your council is revenue.
But you know, Baro is talking. It doesn't mean any iota of a word or a stanza of that sentence. I mean for it. You know why? Because Nyunuko, Galga was UDP and it was opposition.
Yeah.
We decided as UDP, we give Galga to MPP. MPP man is the chairman. Since that time, he cannot even have a meeting for us to meet with the president or the minister, in fact. That's to start with. So where is the sincerity in these people having any collaboration with us? Galga requested so many things for councils, it never happened. Do you see what I mean? So when they went to political platform, we want to collaborate, they are too much. No, they don't want to collaborate with us. They want to fight us. They want to see us fail completely. That's what the collaboration is about. They don't want to collaborate. There is no iota of truth in it. It's all politics. That's what it is. Governor, Marcia Kuoto, Sitale, Naya Kaja, failed. Murunda, SIS, regional director BAC. Ako, you know what? You remember caring Jaman better. Governor, in chairman, let's sort this out. Shut down. He said everything we did. You're naming you SIS the director because we initiated where is the sincerity in these people? So no told they want to collaborate. You want to believe that? That man hasn't committed any crime. All he was trying to do was try to facilitate so that we have a smooth system function and what. But governor that are going to they're doing so many dubious illegal activities there. They think we don't know. We know. We've seen it happening on a broad level. There's a fire service. There's a government quarters next to fire service. It used to be owned by, or used to be occupied by cooperative. Governor Nalamun, it had a bit go demol, ibaje koleka. It's a government land, but they have no mandate to be collecting that kind of revenue. These are supposed to be revenue for the people. To the council, yeah. To the council for the benefit of the region and for the people. But this is how they're operating.
Is the governor offering any services to the people?
No service. No service.
Because if you no, I'm saying the reason why I'm being in Kakang, not rebe collect rates collect kang, any rent money collect from the people. That's 60% loss. I mean, for I think local government access 60% in the tala to the people. So, ni governor in your office ka rates collect, and should it not
and land rent collect?
Should it not go back to the people?
This is the thing. But what is happening is they are pocketing it because I believe previously governor's office nyol dalta men na wala mo ike niyo sodo na from council. Kavrin don na go de kela. Nyinam keloti. Go de kela muk. They get their money from the
local government.
No, not from local government. They get their money from the national coffers.
National coffers, yeah.
You see what I mean? They get all their money from there. Why should we be giving them money that it comes to that is meant for development? We said no, we're not giving that to them. So Kelobe that Okola Kodomin Kadila was not accounted for. Because somebody this is how they were running things. It was a cabal, so whoever is a governor was enjoying. So we said no. You know? Ni adun the chairman of one of governor Friday. These millions that are coming on a Fridays to Kantulika, Talanya, and then they expect that to continue. We said no. All this development we are talking about, if we don't start controlling this money, we're not going to be able to get these things done. The word developments would never be paid. This procurement, wala net hata wo motan ngol jurumol sanna mole ko mole West Coast. Mune mo motan ngol jel.
Hani.
Ni KMZ lota. Ka fele toto motan no.
Hani dente na minje non kaben sirfo tata ne minu juwe no ene talo ke.
Ya no KMZ ni moto balle na.
Sirfo tata. Sirfo fa moto balle tifo. Nga minje ne talo to.
Moto ba.
Sirfo be min bala no.
Moto ba.
Fa be jimira ba jibeka.
Pamudu ni ngawom gelegelelti. Golle gelegelel fa mo warta wolti. Yalla wol ka jelleta. 5,000 tons. Ning KMZ ka 20,000 ta. Just think about it, 5,000. Yalo nintol ni wadada collection all the thing. Ninga sila, koma lanyi silo ninga amuta jani ninga futa silo la jaifa. Na fata etab tambana na futa ra tutu. Na tutu nga trakiro kiweta ufana na iportu kotu je jani me pare la je. Ukatara njita and seta. So how are we going to be able to provide any service to the people? Inada katala tutu. Alno besiri maje. I remember last time, I think 2023, around August, tumo KMC ko ibinala dumping kela jana bigo bakote was inaccessible. So, ntolunga mira ko KMC, and KMC were paying us for that dumping. So ntolko, but the sign, and then tambana jebe dundambulu nyodo. Jemang man janin ka sobulo fenambra, atoneva greater fenambra nyamo push. We were saying, Malum KMC bekala nyare because I jambe nyame ndolla motor wotu ni wolda ka tutule sa ndolla motor dare tututa ndolbe try ka go bonde KMC la motor bana de alon this ilay motor bal they have 4 wheels so ni dona ka 4 wheel dunde dore ni boro esele so inare tabita na pipi e kamera ni ndolbe e kamera ni ko mobile al motor jibe ngaji wele fakata
KMC na rola ta tamida la fiu
Dolbe loriga ni ko nyang motor jibe bega jibe. No, it was so funny and we were like, that's what we can say. And then we looked at these vehicles, Dolbe stock Dolbe and then we were having so many. No, it was very difficult for us. We inherited a very bad system. And then at that time, all the accounts were also in minus.
Yeah.
So that was the real nightmare for us. You know, I tell you this here, I think I told you this before. One time when I got into that office, I just sat on the chair. I said to myself, what have I got myself into?
Yes, you said that. Yes.
I just said, what have I got myself into? Now everybody is hoping youngsters can do miracle. Who can do miracle in this mess? Everything was a mess. All the accounts were minus. Where are we going to go from here?
Talking about all the accounts, everything was red. You were fighting corruption. At this point, last year, 14 million due.
Yeah.
This year, 28 million K. 82 boreholes. Develop motoba lulu binakang with so many other things that you're doing. Almost 300 students like Karamojo and all of these things, right? Would you say you were able to stop the leakage in your council?
Yes.
Are you able to stop it right now?
Yes. We are having it, but on a very small scale now.
Okay.
You know, we're taking more measures.
Okay.
One of the things we've done is we send assessment team to get us data, because data is very crucial.
Okay.
We found the council had no data on the properties that are within its jurisdiction or even the number of compounds that are there. They didn't have no data on They didn't have data on anything. And that was a big challenge to start with, because you have to be a smart city. You have to know everything about your city.
Yeah.
You have to, when you become even more smarter, then you know how much your people produce in terms of nylon as a waste, in terms of paper, in terms of this, in terms of that. We are not there yet, but we are getting a lot more smart. We know how many properties we have in Bigelow. We know how many properties we have in Burfoot Heights. We know how many properties we have in Kerr and these other places. We are still on Sukuta because Sukuta, we ended up realizing, is such a massive place that it's very difficult to finish. We finished Burfoot. We still have some other places to to clear. And we are in the old union, which is like an endless sort of settlement. And then we have not finished those one, Lameng, going to Maninaring, going down to Kubarko, coming all the way down. We want to have all of this data. Because one of the things you realize is we cannot rely on any of these other data that are provided by different organizations. Google Plus gives us compounds, but that is not data good enough for councils.
Councils, okay.
GBOS gave us data about compounds, but that is not good enough for councils. Councils' data is about the revenue base, revenue sources. So you can have one compound, but that compound has 3 or 4 revenue sources. Do you see what I mean? The compound can have a BITICO. That BITICO will have to pay a trade license. That's a revenue source.
Yeah, that cannot be given by GBOS or
that cannot
Google
be given
Plus.
by GBOS or cannot be given by Google Plus.
Okay.
So we had to do our own assessment of that to know how many compounds are there, how many shops are there, where are these compounds and everything. We got to a point where now we're building up a database, and then once we get to that, we will do laminated cards for each compound and each business. They will know their business code with the council, and they can easily go to, let's say, to Baluo, to APS, to Supersonic, any part of the world. They can sit there and pay their tax because the reference, we will know straight away that this person paid. We are now doing that sort of like digital addressing of our revenue sources. But we wouldn't have known all of these things because we were a blind council that was trying to fit into the modern 21st century. And it is very difficult. 21st century is all about data. It's being smart about everything. And that's what we need to do. So everything that we now do, we want to now digitalize it. We want to have a better understanding of it. So we are building up a better IT team that is going to be our data bank. So everything that we do is now data. In the future, we'll just send you an email and say, you need to pay your tax. You haven't paid your tax. And then you just click and then it goes into our system. That's where we are trying to head to. But also, we also want to be able to know to certain levels how many of our people are in dire need of this thing and that and that and that. And we can be able to easily provide that to donors and anybody because it makes us a lot more smarter. I went to Smart City, this thing in South Korea. They're talking about another level which we are thinking. I'm like, and they're trying to tell us, how smart is your city? We said, no, we are dumb at the moment. We're very dumb. We don't know any of these things, but they are a lot smarter. They're thinking about how robots can now help human beings in so many different things. And we are nowhere near that. So we are talking about a big data system that makes us a lot more smarter in knowing our revenue base, and then we move on to how we expand this revenue. A database on that too is very, very important. And then we start to gauge how our services are reaching out to people. You know, where are the places that are not getting anything from us? And how can we reach out to them? All of this, only data can help you with all of that.
And you said your revenue, Allah revenue doubled. BAC was struggling with about 75. You guys are around 155 last year.
Which is not good enough for us.
What is not good for, enough for you?
Because our budget is about 300 and we're getting only half of that.
You're getting half of that.
So
but you left also because you left na rates, compound rates all lafa. Moving keme fula jusa Yankuba Darboe keme uli fula.
No,
yalo ne ofon tol kombon kole lafta Yankuba la nyawnya bari na depanso katu ninka keme fula jo sa Yankuba ko ngawuli fula jo
akata wanya yala fam faila
yala tol buka tulon ko di ko kombon ko nin kodo
ila fam faila nyokan bari tam faila nyokan because mingeta yalo yenyon ko yenyon fo yela tapale ya fo jala mingeta kabinin last year ndol be nyin data collection on Cabinet last year, announcement okay, various media outlets, Kafoko, BAC assessment okay, and non tariffo em volum nyendiko, nila kordata meda wili keme lula, ela tariffo mu wili fulalti sangokon. Anyina. Anga ron pamudu la radio phone na assessment team of fonye. No sa nyimbeta because I mol ka understand. So nina de ka understand yalo. And they were taking the data. So everything was going fine. Last year we did this collection last year and it was happening before even Dolangana.
So ni minna korda man wul ama ala value man wuli keme lulo si
wulka
wobe daming abe wala jol hansa
wobe dame ka wala justi
ni la korda la value tambita wuli keme lulla wala wuli fulat okay
so ne taxo jibe fango abaka specific amount dealer
ha
taxo ka fale ko ni tata bitiko to na bitiko la turnover mu 1.5 million da nyanda 50,000 na jol
ha
na bitiko la turnover mu 1 million do 1.5 nyanda 30,000 or 40,000 na jol
ha
na la bitiko is less than 1 million anyanda 4,000 na jol wala anyanda 5,000 na jol aka nyinni aka category le
ya karenji soldi
so rates fana yo category le sort district residential rate bijele district provincial rate bije yaja so you different rates so leden so ntolunga tariff buko minda o tariff buko le nyint all our callings na ngala sino ming be call abebe janna kabiri niya dati I fo in the bank sol financial institution nim bank la banks per premises na 3 cashiers and above so da nyanda 250 le jon na below 3 cashiers so do aka 100,000 le jon for the whole year wala muila license sort ako automated teller machines telol na automated teller machine so do okay this is bank sol still automated teller machine na ATM so do 20,000 microfinance ako 15,000 housing finance scheme 500,000 insurance companies per branch 50,000 at foreign exchange bureaus per branch 15,000 foreign exchange bureaus registered exchange dealers registered per person 5,000 do you see what I mean local consultants it gives you class A and class B class 500,000 and above 25,000 turnover between 300 to 499 is 15,000 below that 5,000 you go to transport airlines air companies air agents tour operators shipping abebja neighborhood you have communications landlines telephone landlines you see all landlines they have all of that
all of that
well they know the internet cafes
all they must say
GSM network providers per site 35,000 internet service providers per branch 50,000 GSM customer care 25,000 telecenters per booth $500 this is what we inherited you know what I mean television stations 100,000 radio stations private 10,000 radio stations community 3,000 newspaper business 3,000 freelance journalists 500
what kind of a freelance journalist
all of them because they charge but they were all in you know what I mean advertising agencies 10,000 cable TV and satellite 50,000 it has all of that printing and stationery photo lab photographers photo lab if they have photo lab 10,000 if they have photography 500 printing press large scale per branch 25,000 printing press small scale 10,000 manufacturing industries large scale export import is 100,000 large scale import 50,000 export 50,000 agricultural product processing site 50,000 commercial agriculture all of it is there Musa Drame la signature
so left min nyin kala nyin kay to ka min gagné alka mol charge nyin la Yankuba Darboe na la mol nyin luwa kuto de da bang fo ale nyin tarajan
no afel it says here made this first day of January 2020 I was not a chairman Sirvo Sonko was the chairman I came in 1st of June 2023 I came 3 years after this has been enforced
but Musa Drame nyin ko fta so alla sefo Mundo Jata Pamod la Mundo Jata atele nyin ko race atele ko pour ala molu ye kana race nyinjo katu Yankuba fenko la fa abota woto honorable Maimuna Sise ya race at the national parliament Alaji Darboe responded Alaji nyi bukole bondi ayateng ako minister min fango ya sign abijane Musa bari Musa e min fo ma te min sign wo mu yele bari akato le dole ka fuje
bari ngamin ka fa mo
ay wala fo
ngamin ka fa mo
akate min safe wo ate min dialogue
ando Musa yalo min be damin be jefa Maimuna ko ako korda namo ngamra wolf
ha
ko korda namo nga namo le kafu kabo keme sabakata wili fula maymuna e wolf banni ajibe korda namo ndol ngamen daraja ajibe janga ko
ha
this is what he said ako flat rates and tax ako residential empty plots empty plot district rates $150
ha
residential empty plots provinces $125 ako thatched house per house so near near thatched house tara kordal nyungono you have to charge per house $15 near corrugated house taraje per house is $25 so you have to look for corrugated houses in the compound ne will add the near add your rate kayene la receipt or invoice ako property residential threshold above $500,000 $2,000 property commercial threshold above $500,000 $5,000 estate property dealers empty plot every estate property dealer near empty plot wo plot sota belarenje $400 for each plot you need to pay per year you see what I mean
ha
nyingi ako sign into law by Musa Drame so Musa Drame maimuna kanyina for because maimuna ko nganyina kafu from 300 to 2,000 but Musa for my sign was 2,000 so sign jelle kafu doga yalo femman kafu so Musa ko nga dole kafu nga mane kafu what else have we increased because this is the tariff which says 2,000 and nundol nga min for mole nila property tambera 500,000 you need to pay 2,000 that is the tariff we have in existence and BSC ngole inherit manfen kafuje but what we ndolunga ke min kama wala mnyandiko because before nyena public or before ndolunga sambatu public mimbi je wala mnyandiko collectol ka ñinu fana mu dingo do le collectol kana de eka kodo ka yeman dingo men gon
ñaadi
because yajale saying ako district rate in the greater Banjul area a residential or empty plot in the greater Banjul area is 150
ha
nim collector nata he has option of 150 and in 2,000 ndolma long fokir fatu la jang building no membe jang is 150 or is 2,000
atol malo
ndolma wala bayri ndolma fodananya because we did not do the assessment
yeah
so what the collector will do is nana rajang aitala nyinji ba sa fo tariff of fele itala nyingi sa bo 500,000 so you need to pay 2,000 ni te 2,000 ojo
ha
now for that an council I go no the building is a residential but it's less than 500,000 so I gave them 150 so how
so wuli
fula
wuli kelin kemeste ni talulo
anu beta
wow
this is how they were operating so rate collectors need that jibenu rates from Monday in Brikama area council it is one thing that we don't even consider because in Kafalo ko water fentaje this is what was happening. Fenter rate. So we depend more on the license. Then you meet about
banks and
and bureau exchange solo and then other ones. Those are what the revenue we totally depend on. Rates ngandabu no like we gonna share abagata me 150. Do you see what I mean? But Ming Fanan doesn't make sense. Is that more can call nang even text la nan dolbe on kolla na barantol ma understand ndol ka 2,000 4,000 3,000 jo every year at to become a council karlem collector so where is that money going to now we said hold on here we need to get up now because something is not making sense people are paying 2,000 or 3,000 or 4,000
but it's not getting to the council
but the collectors are bringing 150. How are we going to be able to address this? So we said we send assessors. Now go with your own eyes, look at the compound and tell the person that you believe that the compound is more than 500,000. And if the person doesn't believe that, let him get valuers. Let them value his compound. No one is less than 500,000. I will fail now.
So what?
The catchphrase there is, if you value your property, there is a different rate for that. Because near property value and then the valuers the property is now 10 million. So you cannot that means you cannot fall under the category of 2,000 now. You go beyond because if the property is valued Valuation charges is 0.004 per every 1,000, per every 500,000.
What on them have ma value? They are value though.
So ni mo nin tolong value tolong min for. Now value tolong is above 500,000, so you pay 2,000.
But is you are still losing a lot of money though.
We are.
Because near Jube, for example, I think Ning Fenke
KMC is making money. Banjul is making money because yalo mingata.
Jang, Ning Sate to the new settlement, Fenke, Burford Heights. They man tratole.
Baby, yeah. But you would hide there.
Ha.
In fact, the residents there, they contribute 250,000 a year. They have their own ward development committee.
Okay.
Me along, they contribute 250. Each of the compounds pay that to their community there for the running of their community.
1,000.
Yes, but council we get only 2,000 because
you get 2,000 from Burford Heights.
Yes.
Burford Heights me anko land kensa mo million jeleti.
Exactly.
Land kama.
Because mingera ndolla land solo minister le power so to do the valuation. Luala for that the valuation officer appoint la. O valuation officer nying every 5 years another valuation okela in every one of our regions. Now okay. This is the Rating Valuation Act.
Okay.
Section 3, 4, and 5. Mm-hmm. Cleared. Minister has to appoint. Now appoint every 5 years from 1986 to now. They need to be doing valuation. Near Cordalman value, they need to give us what we call a valuation roll. That's supposed to be a document different from this. O roll ning Cordabe 1 million plus. Nila Cordabe 1 million plus in under 4,000 nejola. Nibe 1 million. Nibe 2 million in under 8,000 nejola. Nila Corda is 3 million in under 6,000 nejola. Nim 4 million is 8,000.
Yeah.
But because minister for the last 20 years to suppress the revenue at BAC, valuation. Okay. So no valuation road. The last one we have is 2007.
So what are
not only few compounds. Wow. So we cannot go on that because we.
But have you guys requested this valuation? Because to be honest, there's so much development. Salaji battle lokoto, Burford Heights balkoto, Burford balkoto, Bijulo balkoto, Gambia korda beto be nyundulalet.
Exactly. But yalo mingera.
Yeah.
Ministry needs to appoint a valuation officer.
But I thought Almantare engage because that is very important to your revenue.
No, they've been engaging them. Yalong Tala Lamin Dambonde Bakabin Obije. Utumo Yalong Tony Lefang Ndolman Loki because Sirifo Sonko Ton that thing. I had Daboni Fenkokon. But Utumo Minkeranu KMC Ning Banjul. There was a company mini evaluation of Kawuli. That was done for them and the ministry agreed and they did the valuation for them. So Walla valuation helped them to boost their revenue. So you got your Wolf Fajara and Pipeline, they pay a lot more. But Burford Heights, we don't have it. So now we wrote to the ministry to do this and they're still not doing it. In fact, what they're doing is they're coming after us because Kabiru Mandola nonsense or that. They also jump on and start saying, actually, you people, the assessment you're doing is valuation. Don't let you where go you go? What? Yano nyumbango sometimes. More calafinyo come vandala. Because it a luako, it a nyandale evaluation officer appoint. When you're the military 24/7 every day for the whole year.
Yeah.
It a more appoint what woman taraje for the last 20 years. Alma most of the evaluation officer the ministry. It nyanda every 5 years. It nyanda ka roll deal and dollar dulan nyanda minjolan dol nyanda kodo solamen. Ima ubeke be sirinje. Sign Tolungan assessment okay based on the General Rates Act and then based on the tariff amendment. Alkafoko no actually Almanya Natala Fengola Dolenyan the valuation okay.
Ministry Olefa.
Ministry Olefa. Go Gabriel Takina. I just took it to the councillors and then we all look at it. Because it ain't 20 years.
Imake.
Wo mari ye sabe ya foi puri ake make wol na do wol be la blase ke ta jom ne ga fa actually telephone nyande nyingala so al ku be stop for enda bare rangana okay
ota kam to ko hanna tare ali cordal value in Burford Heights and all these big settlements.
If we had done that they would have come after us Ibn Zambala court so all the man okay because ningo that we would create even immediately little revenue.
That's a lot of revenue out there.
We are losing so much revenue.
That's a lot of
revenue. BAC should be having by our estimate, we should have almost $1 billion.
$1 billion is plus,
that it would change a lot of our problems. A lot of our problems. We would do a lot of roads, a lot of things we would do. But the problem is, we have a government, Mialongo, they reserve all the powers to themselves. Even though constitutional go, we should be autonomous. We should maintain the highest degree of autonomy. Yabe bushi through the yalomula na nibe mansakunda. Kana kuotaning jusola. Most of these powers were done by Jammeh. He took all the powers and reserved it to himself. You see what I mean? Now the problem is, Baronyo Liata will need UDP Bekelola, will they are exercising those powers. So instead of even to appoint the valuation of a city in Yakas, every 5 years they refuse to do valuation. So what do they want BSC? What do they want us to do? So the little 2,000 Vanangamin collect, based on the tariff, it had a focus for Parliament to talk about that co Omanyana Jola in BSC. And remember, we have patriotic residents, many BSC, many canton commandika fanyako. Alte fenkeno la nala revenue is that small. Ntoluka minjo is too small. Dolbe to babu gafanya tonya. Alla kudo doyatale. You need to add a little bit, but we cannot add. Ma add fa gonga add ye kelobo ingata gona dranga. It would be difficult. So this is our hands are tight everywhere. We are at a tight corner, but we are trying to maneuver in our own ways to try and still be able to do something meaningful. With imagine kabiri mondo for nonsense in fact, a camera the next day Nico Moli altale namo. People were really angry, and the way they shown it is coming to pay. Yes, people were coming to pay.
But even though Ngajele minister the agriculture minister, you are talking about West Coast Dali, left the West Coast Dali bull. Ngajele Missino get a romba for romba, Saturday. Yeah, I'm starting from Tomwe.
Rumba from MPP on the day.
So Romba into the West Coast. Okay, I never heard of that side, but now my jealous. So
Rumbangamera Jamburo Jamanjela settlement.
Okay. So meeting Okita Jele, Minister ko, Chairman of me, I don't go fitting drone. America to fitting drone because they for them all the rates are quite be Mondo Komalebi. Support can, but my thing is, and I said this, and I did an opinion about it, and I think, number one, as a BAC resident, and also as a Gambian, I feel like we should be very careful with tax co. Because
very careful.
We should be very careful with tax co because especially in the time of Minkono. Gambia niaje ngakuja makeno is because of Donald's kamakwe and being ajele bickering Donald Trump era everything mimi anko Donald yabe Europe EU coming keno buka keno be so President Barrow Fongo, I think in 2022 or 2023.
Last week.
Yeah, ako 25% of Gambians the Malika tax jo. Ako andung kanyin silo mindo. He example of the hakalan silo lako taxpayer money you will use. Mbebe GRA hail kang for this month March they made 2.6 billion. Now I remember one time I was talking to Yankuba Darboe. There were some stories that came out, and he was saying the reason why. Ate he's always proactive to give information to the media about GRA is because amalafi negative image of the institution la. Right. Because our tax body, ningwe negative image the folk go bankudingo lose the faith la in it. It's going to be very detrimental. I still remember that. Exactly. I remember we wrote something and he was like, look, na lafta fengolon alinyenga because this is the revenue authority of the country. Ning GRA mankodo collect. Kurango jio te sotola, kurango affect silo te sotola, fengol te sotola. And niwo manke, abembela affect la. Losing faith in the tax authority is very dangerous for any country. No. Now, baro fangolo ta ko ngal tax jo because do ko be ka tax. Ni ko moy ko kana tax jo. O malam foi ka kana BAC le jo foi ka kana central government le jo. Ate be ban na tax jo la.
And a bela leader mo Yankuba Darboe.
And nim banko dingol ye banka tax jo. Banko Kang, then we have a problem. So I think this is beyond politics. I think this is more about we have to be mbenyan kala banko dingo tilanga alonko. Fengo beka fa for tax. Tax wo for ojo. Adoyata long asiata bang for yajo. And I think it's important put one message banko dingo le along and then fanang both sides, whoever is saying it, it's not right. To call people to say alkana tax.
They need to stop because what they fail to understand is they when we had that issue with Jonga, they did a similar campaign. They go Jonga better by force. I told the same nonsense Mondo people were doing that campaign there. Jonga better fire go bada Mondo don't do for go cancel Vindictive. Because we have that power. It is the money is in the name of the council. If we said it's not going to happen, it's not going to happen. Everything we just put everything on standhold. But it will pile up, that the whole place become so messed up. They had to comply and they said, you know what, side Jonga will go. Because they realized that you cannot hold a whole community or region to ransom because of one person. And these people have a legitimate reason for challenging these people because they are corrupt.
Yeah.
And they are embezzling their funds. So now they you see how desperate they are. Well, last year we did this campaign, the public propaganda about we did the public advocacy for this taxation with the assessment and everything. They never said anything. But Kabiringa 28 million ojo this last February 20th massive bucket. So now, but for us, Kabiringa ojo, we were saying to ourselves, you see now, you know that ko nying baro famole enim baro le site endorse.
Nyadi baro ko mole taxo.
Baro la ko baro kamen fo banda.
Baro ko nga taxo jo.
Baro kamen fo banda. Anenga kamen ke duma. Fama fo en kansule collaborate na ben kele kan duma. You see what I mean? Aba fola bola nanga fo ka kamen fo e banda. Take it with a pinch of salt. Ajibe, he is telling these people al taxo jo demba sabal is telling MPP be ko mum da jola. Just look at it that way. The commander-in-chief and the secretary-general of his party and the head of cabinet, where kuma come for cabinet minister kata public gavo alkana jo. Because I'm for LGR that jo aljaga don't mobe tax jo. So why are they countering it and nothing is happening? Because he endorsed both messages, and that's why both messages were resonated.
I think two things, yes. I can agree on you with that because Demba Sabali Afole and
Momo Sabali Hafo?
More Sabal Fanevo.
Momo Sabali Afole?
Think advice and a friend do Sano Fanevo.
I do Yafo. Maria Maimuna Sise Yafo. Mundo Yafo. It all about they sit down is a cabal thing from State House. Their main position is let's cripple Yankuba Darboe with his revenue, and then we see. What they fail to understand is the very people they're asking for not to pay this one can backfire because those are the very people who also elected Yankuba Darboe.
But why do you think though? Because Barrow Lafta, I mean, if I guessed if
BSC they don't want BSC to succeed.
Nim BSC succeeda. Nim BSC succeeda. Barrow succeeda. Because it's the people that he is governing. He's the president of all of us in BSC.
Like that.
So if BSC succeeds, Barrow succeeda. Iba jelako itiba compliment la na nyanta boholu talulola Yankuba Darboe money lulo.
I wish Barrow
so
thinks like that.
For me, I'm thinking Barrow wants you to succeed.
No. Barrow wants me to fail. He is failing at that very big time, but he really wants me to fail. He really wants me to be behind bars by now, or probably to be in my graves. Come on, they shot people in the broad daylight. They said it's Yankuba Darboe who did it. They want me behind bars. It's only one thing. Only God has been protecting Yankuba Darboe. They have not been able to do what they tried to do so much. If shooting in Sukuta Jabang, the person is hired mercenary working for Yankuba Darboe at PAC.
Yeah.
And I was in America, I was told Nina de Beng arrested and charged with murder, and I will spend the rest of my whole time waiting at detention. In fact, someone called me who knew about it, called me and said, Taye fengo publish.
You said that in my show here.
It happened.
Ko fem publish.
Fem publish.
No, I publish.
But I have nothing to do with that. No, I publish.
Who's
Yeah, I publish. I don't have a band in UK. So number publisher because I was outside. I don't have access to internet. So when I got back, he said the person called again. Then I realized this is very urgent, and I had to issue a press pengo on my Facebook condemning the shooting that happened. The next day I landed, or the second day I landed in New York. Mimfo you gonna fengoro.
Airport.
Airport do yarva woni wo be silande wo kola o mala ba fola nyano nyami. For kabirim phone for the connect and then I start seeing guy go he kakamunda nyun la fa fola ndolle nyum bugo nyum fondin gelbum. Kunye kunyum kunde phone combo le phone fole bar malum ba fole nyami. Ngai bar follow. Something is happening here. Then somebody who is in their ministerial fengoning, security chat room modo, one had a picture so they can picture me for ko mari le bundiroke, obellen de la motola teng, Olem Lamin Sise.
Lamin Sise ha.
So Lamin Sise la natalo kinang buakar sidik nata kinang ntolie, nata ki jason nyole ngwal nyumano jumala nyenti. Konye nyimu Lamin Sise, ngo Lamin Sise, taye fengo mi bedu ya bedu ngana itan, nge box volto. No wonder if we could not do that, they would have arrested us at the airport.
And I think also what also helped was the interview we did with the alleged shooter Yankuba brother, right? The time Sankare was on air saying Konyime BAC then told Ndabala Moy question or kick and Namolenko Eko abe BAC le kakata or Konyima political fongolo, Nima Yankuba Darboe fongolo, Nimanta protest, Nimbe to our cold. So but all of this Yankuba, why do you think though? Did you Kabiri Usenu Bojana testimony yala moile? And it was crazy that when he said Koyorify ko, Yankuba Darboe malo nyadi.
Yes. Because it was a yalo mingera, yalo mutumo. These people they copy Macky Sall a lot. Macky Sall did the same thing and locked up Sonkoning Jomai Nyola the crew. They wanted to use the same model to frame us and Dolphin and locked up. Ila gave on go Konole Kasongo. Sabali. They would have just put Sabali there. Sabali Kasongo. They would have put Sabali there, myself. Sirifo Bayo Sonko, Jason, and some of the other people within us. We know the list. There was a list that was floated around in Yandamin Besolan in Loya. We are all going to the UDP, Babana. This was their master plan. But Ning Alayim protect, it all married Duninola. But so the fight has been there all along. It continues to be there. You know, when we say these people are fighting us, people say, you just too lousy and all these things. It's not about that. The same thing they did with the money project. It had a plan to be they finished everything at ours. It was specifically targeted on us because Pamodu le follow Fonte, Akonya Yankuba. Akonya, you name it on the state of the Garretal Noman. Yes, he said it. He told me Akonya National Mulling informed, very credible. Lundo Mija and Gona Akonya police Jurmo Levene, Quakeral, Bonduro, Quayamole, Quabaman, and Imam de Bebutalabi. He was giving me the hints beforehand. So no Marina Rago, we want to collaborate. I just look at it and laugh and say, this guy thinks we are fools. We are not. Let him be sincere and let him be sincere and understand that he will try, but God will always protect us because we are innocent. We have not done anything wrong. All this fight that you are seeing, it's all about that. But Mingera, Demba Sabalinyol, Wolmu Kunun Perperole, the whole day. Yemi Moyala, Mindiata, no got a political platform so that they can say it there and he can watch it and be happy. But he wouldn't say it because he doesn't want it to backfire on him. Do you see what I mean? So I leave them with our own people. The surrogates we have are many. They will go after him. But I go after the master himself, which is Barrow. He is the one behind it all, the instigator. Everything is him. It's all goes back to one man, and that is Adam Barrow. He hates it, the fact that we are doing anything at PAC because Initially, what they told him, guy, na nyimbe dara kelo doro nela da fe make nying. When some control like a five.
But kelo min do ko te wala sambanyola. Kelo har tay mo bula do. Kelo min do ko wala sambanyola.
Yeah, ndela kelo men. Ndeka dara molle la ko kala ka. You know what I mean?
So kabrini mani na la mol janjunta fo bi mang
Mane Fanam was very provocative. Mane betakan brikama ba mol tonye la be Paul Bill and Tambidan. It was too bad, but Mingera, the more they destroy or the more they do anything harmful to Yankuba, State House feel very happy. So they love to do it. Imagine Barofang Lord at some point, I go, Ndelenga Mane Bula Tokola, and Numbasopola Momo against the Endel against.
Revenue wise,
Luminga Ketanga message okay on Facebook, guy B. Mane stop lale onde be fa.
Ika ben soronal ne soron be kala president.
Yes, I don't know fine and I meant every word about that. I am soron ngada chairman na am soron.
I said this. I said I've never seen my chairman is the most bold human being in this country.
No, but sometimes they take you to
that's my kind of leadership though.
Yeah,
I like
take you to that level. You have to tell them. Yeah. About them, I would completely. So I never have a fear about these people. These people covering 3 years Jordan. That all happened here. Pamodu is my witness. Aja Bintas Sabal is my witness. A commandro gele kwa le ngwada wa henang Costa Loria bunne afa. Ndem moroko no cold solbe dunno la. You know, I am writing all of this to tell them what we had to go through on the Barrow. If they tell us Ajame is bad, I didn't go through this hell on the Ajame.
Yeah.
But Barrow is even worse than Ajame for me. What he done to me is worse than Ajame. He locked me up for 30 days, freeze my passport, I cannot travel for 2 years. He did all of that. He's never satisfied still. He's still fighting. And they want me to fold my hand. Any day I do that, I'm dead. So every day that I have this breath, I am breathing, I am fighting. And I am fighting till the last breath. I am not retreating even as an inch. I'm not. I'm standing up for myself, for my right, for my people, and I'm fighting all the way.
Operation 3 is 3. Operation Manila Operation. Revenue wise, can you?
I'm
lost ni ba
it's a lot because you know in Brikama we were having 6 zones. Each of those zones would bring us nothing less than 10,000 in a week. When they came in, they took 30,000 a week from that completely. You see what I mean? They took all of that. Not only that is daily use. The licenses that those people pay, all gone. The land rent they pay,
all gone.
Business rates, trade license,
all gone.
All gone. Overnight. You just wake up overnight and you are like, but you know, Alanada Minke, Nitoli Atinya, and they think that signing a cripple letter, 14 million or Jonola, Alaya Dobuluni. It went to 28 million. They don't even know how it is happening. That's why I looked at it and then I said, oh, God is so merciful and so kind and generous to us. And we are ever grateful to him because we know without his protection and his intervention, we would have collapsed.
So I called the chief of staff because of that reaction was to tell but I feel I've been a call return. But man for Satan or about.
I don't know if I interview.
Let us tell show later. About the borough, but I guess but next time I'll call him later.
Yeah.
So all of this, Chairman, fully from the 3 years journey to you becoming chairman, different challenges are faced with the government, and obviously up to now you are in court for that incident.
Yes.
And all of these things.
In that place. All kind of stuff.
Yeah, all of that. If I follow kilo all the time, kilo, you feel like you're being attacked all the time. Why do you think all of this? Why do you think? Is it because you are in the largest region?
Because to tell you the truth, Barrow is very vindictive and spiteful. Barrow is never magnanimous in victory. If Barrow was magnanimous in victory, Barrow would have said, I won in 2021. I am the president. let's move on as a country, all united, all hands on deck, let's develop the country. Embrace UDP, let's end all the political bickering and fighting, we move on. No, that is not his style. He's very vindictive. He went on the first tour he did after that. The first lap of victory was to tell people, I have killed UDP, he's finished and dead. Until when he had the awakening call and after the parliamentary election that UDP is still alive. He's not dead. He's still on. And then he went on. Even on public speeches, he goes on to say how much he wants to see Lawyer Darboe dead. So that he would, in fact, he would only resign if that man is dead. That is not how magnanimous people behave. He is very vindictive. He never, he's always want to bite you. This is the sort of person we are dealing with. And those who think that you can, go back and watch and see how they will end with the Cisse, Dr. Cisse and Sabali. You will see how they end with all of them. This man will still harbor that thing against them for the longest period. He doesn't forgive easily. You understand? That is the thing. Kabirin 3 years old, the fight he had with Yankuba Darboe, that's the pain that is still eating him. He never forgives that one. He locks us up. He wants to see me in prison. In fact, they let everyone go, but they want to see me in prison. They've been fighting, we've been fighting. But as I said, God has always been an impartial judge between us. And has always said, you know what? If for some reason, he might be stubborn and whatever to you, but he is upright person to me and I will protect him. And that's what has been protecting me.
Is it because also UDP also has been also very, very critical of Barrow and his government?
No, but
because Barrow fonko aliya batandi baleke, ko nyimoli batandi baleke.
No, but
you know, Allah surrogates all from the Binet Bojangs and all those others online warriors all to all of you. Atol be na sako Yankuba Darboe ne mean for Barrow aka kandile. And all of al press conference or akal buka press conference o mean be kenu jameta mo silang every day be press conference. Allah tombon said he was saying hani ko I statement to bondi woka statement to bondi le hourly. So this is the thing. All of these things.
Yeah, but the democracy.
All of these things. You also guys are also very critical of him. So na defana na chance to aka final kan.
He wants to be a king. He doesn't want to be a president. Democratic leaders have to go through criticism, and they always respect the opposition as an official mouthpiece for criticism. But you see, the problem with Barrow is not about how much criticism he receives and all these things. He needs to also, you see, as a human being, you need to understand that it's not only you that the other side is putting you on the pain, you are also inflicting pain on the other side. UDP 2021, covering election of Badala, we lost so many people.
Yeah.
Yeah, we lost so many people. We are still really...
But you are still losing people to Barrow.
No. Amangeko, we're losing them to Barrow. We lost people who died.
Okay,
out of heart attack, heartache, and many other shocks.
Politically also, you are losing people to Barrow.
Yeah.
But
that one is not a problem. Mol katayale mol kanaya. Mumur sabaltare yale member draminata. General Commando.
Bawala Commando Tara.
But remember the Diamond. People can remember
Bawala Commando. Member. I think I'm a fan of.
Exactly. Political goal. It will do so on members.
But Birkama not equal Musijamal Tata. And backyard. Now it looks like everything is in your backyard. They're coming after you. You know Sabali tactics or Kananya, I mean, he comes and take people. No, seriously. Another Birkamel area of he's digging in your yard.
Ndela Cambeño. Sawale ma singoloje. Killing Molunga Katanun Tende. Nadanda Sintetle. But we scored more, and he was the campaign manager of UDP. But I didn't campaign over with us. Ask people. We run our own campaign. He didn't do any campaign for us. The same thing Talib KMC. And I don't think he did anything in Banjul. In fact, another regional with the Boeda tactic double.
Alla commando
Commando lo tactic jede. No commando lo no ngalo de meta do ko la no do mon nave do ko la. He was sincere. Abake kan wholeheartedly. Abang ko ka ba ko.
ya to fara ni mo balia al kasel di santole but na ba ni wonu
Na la pol ba.
al ko mo banda made al dale atila no UDP du
But to ne no ngam ko de. Tactic sabul. Ye sabul je ko na na rumba. Mul min tar rumba min mo MPP. Ako le mobilize na ko ngani be bo na jarale nge samana. That's it. That yalla fulo kaminge. You know you al tactic mo da kana durai ku ba ke tan do UDP da is problem. Sabal ko do gusi ba. But don't go to pump in a pump left, right, and center. You know, you see how it operates. Nothing can avoid. That's the sort of services. There's no tactic, nothing. One at a time and UDP did. In West Coast, Sabali Manna, we did our campaign and we won massively.
Massively. You program with diary more in a more than signal, no more than signal. I mean, Yankuba family, so now I can diale. Almost 300 people are watching. But you know, it's always nice to have you. Finally, political, finally, come out for Yami. The Masabel you'll be backyard, Sabel you'll be. West Coast is the home of almost 50% of the people in this country. 2026 NPP la kandero mo barolet. Andung ngaminje ole nyabetil ni West Coast la.
Andite tous no la West Coast. West Coast jele. No bute min kela 2023. Be fengele am 2021 where man West Coast shot. But West Coast now, the bute kela. Nini Lord of West Coast. Yalo na ndeka for ni na reale ka for we as ministry we will intervene, and then when we intervene we will dissolve the council. We will go to election and I will beat you. I will double my score and I will come back again. I will come back even more powerful than before. So the thing is this: West Coast is the best. Whoever wins West Coast next election wins the election.
But the thing is with you guys, and nungamin korosi hani election ol tokodi. UDP la problem and hani nka korosi hani masembe atola wino mi muka kala problem wotin malum fal ka korosi le ning NPP bal dan area minto ikal dambal natol be dan na alke dang ne bari aka kana even le. For example, if NPP wins,
ajibe government dol be dan na West Coast ngedam.
Well, no, la bari butun yalong nationally loyal beto.
No, but West Coast is everything.
Okay.
Next Coast, next election. They booted la jile yalong at the moment yalong mune fong kelonyum fong minke silande kelonyum ilani molmer be West Coast Regional Bureau itolle ni boro kata ya fa but labe takam this is their number one headache. So but the thing is the reality is that they did a lot of misinformation in West Coast about UDP. UDP is now in charge of West Coast and they've realized that Kotonya Tonya that is not the sort of people that these people are. We're not like that. And then the style we have, well, to unite everybody. We don't come into power and say we are going to divide people further because we know when we are divided, we can never progress.
Yeah.
The only way we can progress is you unite every Gambian, those many diaspora, they come back with whatever they have, they put it in, and then we build the nation. Together, we can make this country a much better and much developed country. That's our mantra. That's why UDP, we embrace you and we move on. It's not like we are fighting for personal attacks or vindictive and spitefulness. No, it's not our interest. We want to unite this country. But neither the tribes or there is no iota of truth in any of those things. If we come in, we're not going to go and tell anybody, MPP, we're going to tell Gambia now, this is the Gambia we want. We want everyone to unite now. All these last 8 plus 22 is 30 years. Division of Bangkok. And we have not gone anywhere. If anything, we've gone backward. We've been retrogressing. We want to progress now, no retrogression. What we want everyone to do now is, let's unite. Let's put politics aside for 5 years, develop the country. When we get to the politics, we start. Because UDP, you know why? We are not scared of any other political party. We are big enough to fight, stand on our own and do on our own. We always say that, and coalition on another, we said we are big enough, we can fight out winning.
But yalan fana wo allow ego al nyanta wo bondi la jelde. Atel ni mol ka nga kafu al kafu ntol da mabe ganyela.
No, yalo ne mol kafu dale, yalo ne samoning sajol kafu de fengo push. Mal blabta tonya vala la mbele nga push, but samole sembo wande. Ne samol ni sajol ne falol ni zol kafu da. E fengo push, sajol kafu samo mbeka nyanda jande. Yalo, that is not possible.
Yeah.
So we said, give the devil his due. We are the biggest in this coalition. Let's come together and give the devil his due. But it happened on America and America, they didn't move for that. They go election, they don't go more and no. They are alkali upon the university, they don't go more and no. You know, so some of these people, all fana Catalan Tonjela, you see what I mean? But you see, with UDP in power, Gambia will be very nice because for the first time we are going to end all this tribalism and all this segregation and separation and all these nightmares. Niya je falibayla obe jombela mole state house ava fala mole po. Ana namo jual kana fenge. O dusano chauti chauti. You know niya yo obe kena obe banale. Gambia will be free. We will finally be a lot more liberated, and then we'll have a future that which I think all our children will be proud to live in. And then even those that are born abroad will be proud to call that our ancestral home. You know, that's what we want. And we can achieve that. But all this bickering, you see them on CSPLB, the UDP, you people are wicked, we are not. When we go to bed, we think about how we make our country even better than Senegal. Look at the last 8 years. Macky Sall has developed Senegal, and then our president is at a silo de damole among footpath all the dam, road across the dam, another gonna zebra crossing the mole highway to sign highway gonna mole slow way. You don't even understand. Everything they do, they must sabotage it themselves. This is what they are very good at. Whatever they do, they sabotage it. The Nagara UDP criticize no murder. Emmanuel Goyan in Jawi and Juja, no murder go UDP Alcane down. But look at them. They make their own mistake. Imagine President Obama Sazara. Munaka police some of 1.4 million John per year. You know that is Jawi and Juja.
Kakantalo.
Munkanda. What do you need to handle for that? Ikara Senegal min no iku woli lobetano jomuna ne one security. It doesn't make any sense. They paid the this thing, but they cannot give you security. Come on, they think that Gambian clever, you know. So this is the thing. I want Gambians to understand that better days are still ahead of us, and that is the UDP government. This country will change. This end of bickering and everything will all end. We'll put us closer to the whole of the Jammeh era, and we move on as a nation together. Those who have committed all kind of crime, we are one people. If we want to pardon and forgive, we pardon and we move on. As a nation, we forge ahead, make sure we develop and catch on other countries that are progressing very fast. Rather than President Minna Lord of Government telling draw. But the Kuluvalo legend, Mantara Fenda Bricava for killing, Songaning, Fengeta, Okumasi, you have people who call themselves doctor, Manghani Primary School examination or pass. You know, these are the sort of thing we are dealing with. So we want to end all of that. End the mockery that we are having as a nation, and then we move on a serious footing.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Kacha diata bara fa jam fo ela mol signal. But Chairman for ya fa mo ya.
Man time
e ko alkata fa la men fo wala men
dim fek wala bodo nyandara lan dingo do la jibe la ji so ye programme lo sodo
yo
mi ba wol be call
la dro no ba fo be programme la ba kacha diata nyim fa kuma ta ba ke kana kacha ke mole alon beri tax ko kumata bake banko kan so fimi alon ka kumata o local government tax lomba central government tax lomba kumata banko dingo be adoyata nyawnya ela nyantolo nyanta minjola e woju I think unyin kasha kumata be molten to la bake mi alon ko be jibero la kabra kumasta fo sai programo kabra kumasta fo sai 1200 1300 people amanji amansele manjino han sai mol ba jibela we min kumandi important de regulum be min fo kan mol moy la andunga kumayata je baake mbetentula mol mi dalan ko stasen people like. And one thing I wanted to say Yankuba Walam, ila style of leadership and I know time of bantale but you know I was watching Bubala program all the councillors from Foni, from NPP and others, Minu Natajang. Yankuba Darboe, they tell you, we have never seen a chairman like this. Nala coordination or nimbe feo fenkela fongola kali, and I saw you hanala ni tesi tolto ngafa Yankuba ngaba sa atemu foreman or tenaje da nalo udenika ulango babala. But then your style of leadership, how when political ketanyao nyanalbe council, it seems like that's not present there.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
What inspires that?
That's why I'm saying you have to be magnanimous in victory. You cannot just keep saying, I am the winner and I'm going to be everything. No. Once you win, put the politics aside. All of them are my colleagues. And then when we work together, we realize how much we have in common in terms of the development we want to achieve for our people. Nka ninga doko dati nyoga aka miro mindena o miro bega ke kilimot mem namul bonde nono nyami batako nga kontine and then they are from different political parties.
Yeah.
But ningo menyola political jibela nga nyo kelo ka tenum bi man vengeno iba I coming for baro nyinka to kelo la tenum betaro kelo doronne. But that is not who we are. We don't fight until we get to position and we still fight. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
What are you fighting for now? Ata baro phone ko fa ko ala fa ko. E kelo ko foi palaso so. E furo palaso ani bibe kelo. E ne kelo kanza. No, we get to the position and now we're fighting for development and progress. We are not fighting any other person for the position. We are there for another 4 years. That is secured. Yeah. So now what we need to do is their success is my success. My success is their success. Our success is the region's success. Our failure is terrible for the West Coast. The last many years, they're behind everybody. They didn't have anything.
Yeah.
They didn't have anything. Niba tambile la council ke dafon fighten na student ol tate dulman karang. I have parents many alongo. They have 3 children many nyandana university. They're working in government. They can only pay for 1 or 2. They have to now make that decision as to one of the children even mballa okanata school. As a parent, how do you make that kind of decision? Those are very tough decisions that families have to make on a daily basis on how many children you can feed, who can be this and that. Sometimes they get the wrong decisions. Ikaminu Balik could be much better than Yemenu support. But these are challenges that we put our people through. When the state, if the state was sponsoring BAC, we would be giving a lot more scholarship to our children. We will be doing a lot more. And the state can hold us accountable. You need a more developed societies. Central government become development policy. Donate council le kodo le dila through subvention. Yet our council will hold accountable. Nila for housing, they give it to the council to build the housing. Nila for roads, they give it to the council to build the road. If they want schools, councils build schools. If they want hospitals, councils build hospitals. It is all designed that way. All of these things are under councils. The central government through the ministries are holding on to everything. The very people who should be monitoring and holding us accountable are the ones doing everything, controlling total monopoly over everything. No one is holding them accountable. We have a problem. That's why corruption is so infested, is so pervasive in our system. Problem on you. So how do we get rid of that? We need to change.
We need to change.
Taxation needed Finland, the world's most happiest country. How are you building? What natural resources they have? They said we have none. We build our country based on taxation.
Taxes, yeah.
Can also build Gambia through
taxation. Yeah.
6.7 billion Baroko will receive in 3 months.
Yeah.
That means if they continue on that trend, they can do 25, 26, or even 27 billion in 1 year.
Yeah.
27 billion. How much development can they register in a year out of that? If they give each of the council even 100 million at the grassroots level, we pump not only 1 million, but we pump 5 million, 10 million to every one of our wards. And Gambia will develop. The youths will not take the back way and then die in the boats and everything. That's what our society is calling for. They're not getting it. And these people, what is these people's, what is the solution? Demba Sabali has no solution for the challenges that our agricultural farmers are having. All they're thinking about is UDP ni Yankuba Darboe, UDP ni Lawyer Darboe, UDP ni Talib Bensouda, UDP ni Royal. What is wrong with these people? Why can't they think like the way we are thinking? We are thinking, why can't you give us 100 million? We pump all these millions into all these villages. Every village now has something that they are doing. Their youths will stay. Even this urbanization that we have in rural urban migration that we are complaining about will all be reduced. But it's not happening because the villages are empty. Nothing is there. Water, no electricity, no anything. Everybody wants to move to the urban areas to have access to those amenities. We're changing that. We're changing that narrative. They're fighting us instead of supporting us. They're taking the revenue. They now covering malo from be able to take So
thank you very much, Chairman. Kasha diata kasha jamfata ila molbe signal level kasha diata. Thank you so much. For this insightful conversation. Hopefully, we can also have physical planning and central government, local government, especially to have this conversation. No friend, Ahmad Ba, fonga nati nanja. Yalo nati la kacha kadia baleke. Afama tala bari nati la kacha. Nati riyane nati la kacha. Ade kala bala. Ndefa muka question on yini nkaro nkabe benjelo because Ahmad wo, But yeah, it will be interesting to.
And you know why they are not paying subvention to council? And
yes,
their rates.
Their rates also.
Why are they going after councils when they're not giving them anything?
That's something we should be able to ask. Yeah.
They need to, because this is the money for our people, not for us.
Yes, that's true. Yeah.
We're trying to send them a little, but if they give us more,
we could
reach the villages.
Yeah, definitely.
The women can be a lot more empowered. We empowered so many of these women folk, and now they are. If you go to Busranding, I gave them a borehole. Previous years they were struggling. Now they're very happy with their knuckle. You see, so
that's good. That's interesting. That's very good. Thank you very much, Chairman. Kasha diata baribiu ko ila molo. To be honest, kabirina stars kumasta be star min kinye. And if I'm to kill de ila molo akatalde Abdu S Haidaranyol, a lot of them. I cannot name all of them, but thank you so much all for sending us stars. Sheriff Abba Nyolumbalbe Tentulambal Jaila. Thank you so much, Chairman, and your team. And my team also, until we come your way next week with another official. Good night to you all. See you again. Bye-bye. Thank you.
We are happy to announce the launch of our new logo. We have evolved since our incorporation in 1997, and it is time to refresh our new look to reflect who we are today. Before I reveal our new look, however, walk with me while I take you through our journey of the last 25 years. Trust Bank was incorporated on July 3rd, 1997 and began operations on October 1st, 1997. Following the collapse of the parent company of its predecessor, Meridian, the CBG stepped in and recapitalized the bank and held the shares in trust, thus the name Trust Bank. In 1999, the first investors who responded to the IPO and paid $1.50 per share received their maiden dividend of 50 bututs per share. In 2000, the bank fully paid back its investment by declaring another dividend of $1. Us quality services and innovative products with an inspired team dedicated to serving our customers, our environment, and our communities at large in the most caring manner. We remain fully committed to delivering excellent services to each of our stakeholders, customers, employees, shareholders, and partners. So, we remain true to who we have always been. As we